presentation of ALNL Showdown, presented by State Farm.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Fenway Park, Boston, USA. It's the final game of the homecoming series for Manny Ramirez, the former Red Sox great. Tonight, Manny and the Dodgers trying to avoid a sweep to the Red Sox. Return to Fenway was the big story on Friday, but soon it became a side story to Boston's big bats. 3 home runs, Poppy, Drew, and Beltre, and that gave the Sox a big lead. Then Manny struck out looking to end it. 10-6 Red Sox. Yesterday, Manny's 6th-inning home run prompted a Dodger comeback. Augusto Pedroia's first career walk-off hit gave the Sox another win. 5-4 this time.
And just a little while ago, Manny on the field, getting his final warm-ups out of the way as the Dodgers and Red Sox ready to play one more time interleague play. A rare game at Fenway for the Dodgers. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, part of the ALNL Showdown, presented by State Farm. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with the ace right-hander Oral Hershiser, himself a former Dodger. Maybe you didn't know that. The hero of the 1975 World Series right here at Fenway. Hall of Famer Joe Morgan also present. Happy Father's Day to you and yours, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. Now, for several years, they were the greatest 1-2 punch in anybody's lineup. Homers and RBIs by the dozens. Manny and Big Poppy. What a duo. This weekend, the two old partners have been reunited, but now as adversaries. Big Poppy revitalized, putting up big numbers again. And Manny Ramirez, now a Dodger. And both are hitting third in their respective lineups tonight, Joe.
Well, John, for years when I came here, it was the Big Poppy and Manny show. They put up numbers to rival the great duo of Ruth and Gehrig. They had 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs for 4 years in a row. That is fabulous. But now they're on different teams, but they're both very important to their team's offense. In L.A., Manny is not the man anymore. Now it's kind of Ethier and Kemp are the new Dodger stars. But in the case of Big Poppy, he is still the guy here. He's still important to this run-scoring machine that they put together here in Red Sox land. But when you look at both of these guys, if their teams are going to go to the playoffs, they're going to need big production from both. And Manny Ramirez is a guy that can turn it on and turn it off as quickly as possible. But when you look at Poppy, you know that he's going to be there at the end because he is one of the best clutch hitters in all of baseball. But both teams need their offense if they're going to get to the playoffs.
So Ortiz is hot. Tonight he'll be facing the right-handed Hiroki Kuroda of the Dodgers. And Manny will be up against the Red Sox right-hander Clay Buchholz, who will be looking for his 10th win of the year. And Oral, it's been a real breakout season for the young Buchholz.
He has started to put it together. At 25 years young, a 2005 first-round draft pick. As late as 2008, though, sent down to Double-A because he didn't have command. But now he's starting to command all 4 pitches. He has a 2-seamer and he has a slider. That's a combination we see in the big leagues. He has a 4-seamer and a curveball, another combination. He has all 4, which is kind of a double-edged sword. And when you think about this guy putting all 4 pitches together, that's what leads him to a 2.67 ERA, 5th in the American League. One more win, tops in wins also.
He's really becoming one of the top pitchers in the American League, that's for sure, and a possible all-star. He's heading in from the bullpen in right field, and he'll be facing Manny Ramirez in the very first inning. He's up to third in the order for Joe Torre's Dodgers. Manny Ramirez, back in Boston, where they used to say it was Manny being Manny.
And in part by State Farm. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. And your locally owned Citgo, there at every turn.
And the Boston Red Sox take the field here at Fenway Park, where we had lots of rain that began about 3 hours ago. A big thunderstorm came through, but it has passed us by, and we're ready for baseball. Watch this game and over 800 other live games on your mobile phone with ESPN Mobile TV. Text TV to 4ESPN. That's TV to 43776. Manny Ramirez moved up to third in the order. Joe Torre has done some tinkering with his lineup after losing the first 2 games here. Torre, who has a lot of experience managing against the Red Sox and more career regular season wins against them since the Hall of Famer Earl Weaver, who had 120 victories over Boston with Baltimore. The Dodger batting order presented by Taco Bell. Matt Kemp in the leadoff spot. Then Andre Ethier in right field. Manny Ramirez, the designated hitter. James Loney, who's been a hot hitter at first base, hitting cleanup. Garrett Anderson in left field. Casey Blake at third base, hitting 6th. And Russell Martin, the catcher, 7th. Blake DeWitt at second base. And Jamie Carroll at short, with Rafael Furcal still gone on a bereavement.
And John, you talked about the tinkering of the lineup. Andre Ethier usually hits third, hitting second tonight. 0 for 14, his last 14 at bats. Started off as an MVP type year, hitting .323 right now, which is second in the National League, but broke his pinky on his right hand. And he said, I didn't know how much that really could affect me, and it's put him into a little slump.
Clay Buchholz on the mound, looking for his 10th win of the year. And they always thought that he could end up being an outstanding pitcher, but it has really come quickly for him.
Well, John, he pitched a no-hitter, his first year in the big leagues, and now they're expecting him. He's kind of the ace right now next to John Lester because, of course, Beckett's been out for a while. And I guess he was reminded recently by the pitching coach, John Farrell, to not forget to use his curveball. So we'll take a look tonight and see how he uses his curveball. He's been getting a lot of ground balls with his 2-seamer, and he's been striking out hitters with his 4-seamer.
Red Sox still racked with injuries in the outfield. So it's Danny Nava in left, Mike Cameron, 3-time Gold Glover in center, and Darnell McDonald is in right field. Around the infield, Adrian Beltre at third, 2 Gold Gloves. Marco Scutaro at short. Dustin Pedroia, a Gold Glover at second. Kevin Youkilis, a Gold Glover at first. And Victor Martinez doing the catching, working with 25-year-old Clay Buchholz. Buchholz, 9 wins, 4 losses at 2.67 earned run average. And he's only allowed 3 home runs. It's hard to get an extra base hit against this guy. Got the 5th best earned run average in the American League. And first ball swinging, Matt Kemp fouls one away. And the mantra for the Dodgers, and when you consider it goes without saying they need Manny Ramirez to be a big presence in that lineup to have success, but the mantra right now is for the young guys to get it going again, because Kemp is slumping, Ethier is slumping, and those may be the 2 biggest of the young guys in the Dodger lineup.
Well, those 2 players were the reason the Dodgers were able to prevail in the West last year, because they got big production down the stretch from both of those young players.
Now, as you can see, as we look at Kemp, and you see the slump that he's been in so far in June, the rain is falling at Fenway. Beltre, and one away. That was an interesting style of making that throw.
Well, he stopped to collect himself, it seemed like, John. Maybe he thought about the wet turf. But watch, once he catches it, he kind of hesitates. There's not much rhythm to his throw. But watch, he catches it, and he stands flat-footed and throws it. You usually have what we call a crow hop to get your momentum started toward the bag you're throwing to, but he just kind of stood there and threw it flat-footed. It means he's got a great arm.
And a light rain is falling here at Fenway. Andre Ethier now. And that fastball at 93 miles an hour, down and away. Ball 1. When Ethier broke that pinky figure that you mentioned, Oral, he was leading all 3 Triple Crown categories. He was extraordinarily hot.
The stabilization, which Joe can talk more of just guiding that bat through the strike zone, plus probably the power and a little bit of pain. They actually talked to the Los Angeles Lakers trainer to talk about how to mobilize or how to stabilize that finger. And I think with Kobe Bryant's finger problems, they gave him an idea to stabilize the top digit where it was hurt at the top of the finger, but allow the knuckle below that to still function, and that seems to be helping a little more.
That's a called strike 2 on the outside. Well, you saw those numbers. He was hitting .392 when the freakish injury occurred. It occurred during batting practice. He had 38 RBIs in only 33 games, but only 5 RBIs in 18 games since coming back. 2-2 the count. Manny Ramirez is out on deck. He'll be coming up next.
I think they're used to Manny being back, John, because on Friday night when he came out of the dugout to go on deck, there was a big crowd reaction. Not very much of a reaction tonight.
Well, we'll see if that holds true when the voice of Fenway Park, Carl Bean, introduces him for the first time tonight. There are some Dodger fans in attendance, and there have been a lot of Dodger fans who have been present at Fenway Park all through the weekend. Ball 3, 95 miles an hour off the corner, and it's a full count now. Brian Gorman, the crew chief of this particular umpiring group, behind the plate. A veteran umpire. His dad was a long-time National League umpire. 3-2 the count. And slapped foul into the seats off the left field line. The umpiring alignment with Brian Gorman behind the plate also shows Paul Nauert over at first base, Ted Barrett at second base, and Tony Randazzo, the third base umpire. Get the looking straight down the left field line from the seats at Fenway. And he ends up walking him, and here comes Manny.
There's a mixture, John, of claps and boos, but booing sounds louder than clapping.
And you can do both if you have mixed emotions.
But not nearly the reaction that they had on Friday night.
Also a lot of camera flashes going off all around Fenway. That's a called strike to Manny, who hit a home run here yesterday. And has hit 3 home runs in the last week, which is a real breakout for him because he has only 8 home runs the whole season, a .297 average, 8 homers, 34 runs batted in. And he's done that in 50 games.
John, I think it's hard for a lot of the fans to forget what Manny did in 2004. He was a World Series MVP, and I think a lot of them realize without him being here, they probably would not have won the World Series.
Well, and they won it again in 2007 with Manny.
But the first one broke the curse.
Well, there wouldn't
86 years.
There wouldn't be any boos at all if he wouldn't have departed the way he did. And people really thought that he might have quit on the team and wanted out. And of course, Boston fans can never realize why anybody would want to leave here. Maybe they would want you to leave, but you don't want to leave us.
Right through the middle, base hit into center field.
He is such a good hitter. The one thing I have noticed about Manny this year that's a little different than in the past is he's more aggressive early in the count now. He used to take a lot of pitches, even trying to set the hitter up. But I don't think he's as confident now as he was years ago, and he's swinging at the first strike. There's a strike right there down knee high, and he lines it back through the middle. He took the first one, but he was aggressive on the second one. And he just lines it right back through the middle. And he has stayed pretty much through the middle in this series into right field, even though he hit a home run off of the knuckleballer Wakefield, but that's a 65, 70 mile an hour pitch. He pulled that.
Now, James Loney comes up. And Loney, although he does not often hit home runs, he's got 5 homers, has 45 runs batted in. That's a strike.
Loney is a completely different hitter than Ethier and Kemp. He's a line drive hitter. Hits a lot of balls the other way. But you're right. With runners in scoring position over the last couple of years, he's been very good.
Leading the club in RBIs, hitting .300. James Loney, another one of the Dodgers' talented young players, only 26 years old. Ooh. Man, he was fooled on that one.
But they would like for him to hit some more home runs, but they're happy with his progression because, you know, he has driven in a lot of runs. He's a good RBI man. And he's just going to have to learn when to go for the home run and when to just go ahead and hit the line drives to left field as he does most of the time.
Dodgers have been short on hits in situations like this through the weekend. Just missing on the outside, and it's 1-2.
James Loney reminds me a little bit of somebody else in the National League West, which is Adrian Gonzalez, who didn't really have the power early, but a very sweet fielding first baseman, a great thrower of the ball, a great glove, and then a high average and a good idea at the plate, but the power didn't come till later.
Veteran Garrett Anderson on deck. And that fastball off the outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes as Loney refuses to go out of the strike zone.
You can see the hits by direction. I mean, 25, 33, I mean, 16. I mean, he has sprays the ball around. He is not a pull hitter.
Hitting .329 with runners in scoring position for the season. He's got one out there right now. Ethier at second. And he fights off that off-speed pitch. 2-2 the count.
You know, from my generation, he reminds me a lot of maybe Mark Grace. Maybe a little longer swing than Mark Grace, but the sweet fielding again, and a guy who can always put the ball in play. Was a big RBI guy because he did the right thing with men in scoring position.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 men on, 1 man out. Buchholz in an early jam. And on appeal, no, says Tony Randazzo, the third base umpire. So from 0-2, the count has gone full, 3-2.
That take there that we saw from Loney is something that you can't see from Ethier with that sore pinky. To grab the bat, hold it there, as we saw from Loney, to check his swing.
So with that sore hand, once you start the bat, it's going to be awfully hard to stop it.
Very difficult.
Ethier at second, Manny Ramirez at first. 1 out, 3-2 the count. There you go. And the ball is fouled off the left field line. Did that surprise you?
Well, that's something that I think is the Dodger trademark. When Tommy Lasorda was there, he would run him with nobody out, which I'm always skeptical of. But Joe Torre has always been a National League style manager as far as I'm concerned. When he went to the Yankees, he brought that National League style to the Yankees, and I think that's one of the reasons he won the championships, because he was playing a different brand of ball. He wasn't just waiting for the 3-run homer.
So they were running on that last 3-2 pitch, and there they go again, and it's ball 4.
We talk about the Red Sox taking a lot of pitches, but you have to give the Dodgers credit here too. They're taking some close pitches with 2 strikes, both Ethier and now Loney.
That's a pretty good plate appearance by James Loney after getting behind 0-2. And he fought off some tough pitches, and he took some close pitches and got himself the walk.
Yeah, both left-handed hitters have done a good job realizing a ball on the outer half of the plate from Buchholz is away and not a strike on the corner. That's how they work both of those walks.
And now another lefty, the veteran Garrett Anderson, longtime American League player with the Angels. And Garrett Anderson is the only Dodger who has ever faced Buchholz before in a big league game, and he's had a lot of success.
That's why he's in there, because he's hitting 191, 94, I should say.
And he's hitting 556 against Buchholz, 5 for 9 with 2 home runs in only 9 at bats.
With a couple of big flies in there, so definitely he's in there tonight. The Dodgers trying to put up some numbers, because we talked about the fact that the Red Sox are a run-scoring machine, especially here in Fenway Park.
So Buchholz, who's been pitching extremely well, struggling in the first. He has thrown 22 pitches already in this inning and has only 1 out. The infield looking for the double play ball, and Anderson is a double play possibility. No longer runs very well. Bases loaded, 1 out. And he yanks that one foul, and he went down for a ball, I think, below the knees right there.
Well, Garrett Anderson at this point in his career probably has a slider speed bat. What I mean by that is they usually can't catch up to the fastball because the bat speed is slowed down. So when you throw a breaking ball like Clay Buchholz just did, a slider, you have enough bat speed to really catch up to that. So cheating on the fastball, throw the slider down and in, he pulls it foul.
0-2 the count. Ethier at third, Manny Ramirez at second, James Loney at first. And now Garrett Anderson walks away. Buchholz has been working very slowly throughout this inning, even before there were runners on base.
You would think with somebody with bases loaded and 1 out has really not had much command, especially with 2 walks, but really he is making solid pitches. He's just missing his target on the outside corner to left-handed hitters by about 3-4 inches off the plate, and they've been disciplined enough to lay off it. But you can see that with his 9 wins this year, in these situations, he has been very effective.
You put men on base, especially in scoring position, that's when Buchholz seems to be even tougher. 0-2 the count. In the dirt with a changeup. A ball and 2 strikes. Blocked by Victor Martinez. So Buchholz has had a long string of success. Is real shaky in this inning. You were talking about how the Dodgers have been prolonging at bats. Both Ethier and Loney had 8-pitch battles with Buchholz before they drew their walks. This will be the 25th pitch of the inning thrown by Buchholz. And the first curveball of the night, and that's the big hook, but taken by Garrett Anderson as it dropped out of the zone.
What happens when you throw that big a curveball is you have to get the hitter to chase. You're not going to be able to throw it for a strike as often as you would like. It breaks out of the strike zone. He's got such a big break on that curveball, it's hard to keep it in the strike zone.
But that's good pitch recognition, on the other hand, by Garrett Anderson.
We've seen that so far with the Dodgers. They're recognizing and taking pitches out of the zone.
2-2. He struck him out. And he got a little extra on that fastball at 96 miles an hour coming after the slow curveball.
Yeah, with Clay Buchholz, the thing that has made him such a good pitcher this year is the combination and concert of the pitches, the 2-seamer and the slider, the 4-seamer and the curveball. The curveball was taken by Garrett Anderson because it wasn't in relation to any of the pitches he hadn't thrown yet. But the 4-seamer right there at 96 that got the strikeout, that was in relation to the curveball prior to it, and he gets the swing and miss.
So now Casey Blake, not out of the jam just yet. Powerful right-handed hitter. And the first pitch curveball. He does steal a strike with the hook. It's 0-1.
Well, you have a curveball that looks like a strike, ends up a ball. And that was that one, but he hadn't established a fastball for a strike in the middle or the inner half of the plate. But now, after the curveball, you slow the batter down. You can, even when you miss your spot, the 96-mile-an-hour velocity gets Garrett Anderson.
Casey Blake, 269 average, 7 home runs. And that little cut on that ball, down and away at 91 miles an hour. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Casey Blake's a very good fastball hitter, and he was probably sitting on the fastball. That's why they came with the curveball, and they're trying to keep him off the fastball.
He has hit well this week. Bases loaded, 2 down. Change up in the dirt.
So he's throwing 3 off-speed pitches, but now you have to come with the fastball. But the point is, do you go with the sinking fastball or the 4-seamer?
Well, what do you think?
Let's ask the pitcher. Here I am. I knew Joe was going to point at me.
Well, yeah.
I'm getting some rhythm up here. I would say I like the 4-seamer. I think he's got more command of it, can get a strike, and the 3 pitches that he's thrown so far have been down. It'd be the first one to be slightly up and get by him. Goes with a slider. He got us both.
And it seemed to work pretty well, I thought. So the Dodgers continue to struggle with runners in scoring position through the weekend. They do not score. Score. There's Terry Francona, Dodger manager, or the Red Sox manager, facing the Dodgers and trying to get a sweep over the Dodgers. And here's the lineup that he turned in, presented by Taco Bell. Marco Scutaro leads off at shortstop. Dustin Pedroia, yesterday's hero, with a walk-off base hit. Second base, David Ortiz, the designated hitter. Kevin Youkilis, the cleanup man at first base. Victor Martinez, the catcher. Adrian Beltre, among the league's leading hitters at third base. Daniel Nava, the young sensation, in left field. Mike Cameron in center. Darnell McDonald is hitting ninth in right field.
And John, you mentioned Pedoria with his first walk-off major league base hit yesterday. Drove in run, but he also has a 9-game hitting streak. He and Big Papi have been the ones that have kind of fueled this resurgence by the Red Sox. But I thought it was a great at-bat that Pedoria had yesterday against Broxton.
He's going to have a tough battle out there tonight. Hiroki Kuroda on the mound. The split finger has been solid. I'll tell you what, he has 12 scoreless innings right now. He's had a couple of rough outings prior to 3 starts ago, but has fixed himself. And the split finger is down and dominant.
Kuroda, 6-4, trying to be the stopper for the Dodgers. And he throws a fastball, and he's got a pretty good fastball at 92 miles an hour for a strike to Marco Scutaro. Scutaro is hitting .283, 4 homers, 23 batted in. And that slider is in there for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. In his most recent start, Kuroda in Cincinnati this past Tuesday worked 4 strong innings, and then there was a nearly 2.5-hour rain delay. During that rain delay, he went into Joe Torre and said, when we start, I want to come back. And Torre was thinking probably not, but Kuroda said it would not be a problem. And he came back after the long rain delay and pitched the 5th inning. Torre said he would have brought him back for the 6th inning, but he threw 20-plus pitches in that 5th, and he decided, okay, let's not press our luck. But he was pretty impressed, and Kuroda spent the whole 2.5-hour rain delay staying loose and ready to get back out there as he strikes out Scutaro. Now Dustin Pedroia. Yesterday, last of the 9th against big Jonathan Broxton. And Pedroia, who's 5'9", said Broxton looked like he was about 9 feet tall, throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. But he got that one with a 2-strike count into right field to knock in the winning run. Nava sliding across the plate. And the Red Sox with a 5-4 victory. And it was interesting that Pedroia had never had a walk-off hit before. He's been in 2 All-Star games. He's been a Rookie of the Year. He's been an MVP. He's won World Series rings, but never a walk-off hit.
Well, you got to be in those situations, and when you hit second, you don't get a lot of those.
He swung at it.
Guys that hit middle of the order have more chances usually of having a walk-off, but it just doesn't happen every day where you have that opportunity. Because if he would have had a lot of opportunities, I guarantee you he would have been successful. He's a pretty good hitter, and he knows how to handle pitchers and how to adjust.
Off the glove of Casey Blake.
Well, Casey Blake's, pretty good defensive third baseman. And he gets over in front of this ball. He has plenty of time, but he lets it goes off the tip of his glove. He may have stolen a peek at Pedroia. No, he didn't. He just missed it.
They're going to score that as a hit for Pedroia.
Well, when you're at home, you get those kind of hits, John. If you're on the road, that's an error. But I still think that Blake would tell you he was going to be able to make that play because it was a big hop.
Now they have the shift on for David Ortiz. 3 infielders to the right of second, including the third baseman, Casey Blake. The shortstop, Jamie Carroll, stays at shortstop. One ball and no strikes to David Ortiz. Now Ortiz was the player of the month in the American League in the month of May. He had a huge month of May. Home runs, RBIs, batting average, you name it. he has not been as hot so far in June. He does have 4 home runs. So he's still hitting the long ball and driving in runs. You see, there's nobody anywhere close to third base. Even Carroll is swung over toward the middle. It's short. There goes Pedoria. And it's a steal. And he's going to go to third because nobody's at third.
And that's something that should never happen simply because they've seen it before. We saw it in the World Series last year with Johnny Damon. And that's why you take off in that situation if you're Pedroia. He only has 6 stolen bases coming in, so now he's got 7. But, I mean, you take off because you see the alignment that the defense is playing, and you know if you make it, you can just keep going. The throw is not in time. Now all he does is slide in the pop-up slide. He sees where the infielders are, and he just continues over to third base. And no one can get there. Kuroda tries to get there, but he's late. And you have to ask yourself who should be there. Well, like I said, you have to set up a defense like this in spring training because we saw this last year in the World Series. You should normally have someone assigned to getting to third base.
Johnny Damon did it against the Phillies in the series. That's ball 3 to David Ortiz. By the way, that's scored as a steal of second, of course, but an error is charged to Russell Martin, accounting for him going to third.
Well, it'd been interesting to see if he catches it, if Pedroia would have continued on to third anyway, because there's a foot race from there.
It would have been between Pedroia and DeWitt. Or actually with Casey Blake.
Yeah, I was going to say Blake's the spade. He was one that covered. DeWitt was over in the hole there. Well, let's take a look here. He does the pop-up, so he's ready to go. And no one is at third base, and he just continues on over. I mean, they've seen this before. They know that this happens because they're playing Big Papi to pull, so if you steal that base, you're always aware that you can keep going.
Now the intentional fourth ball to Ortiz. Carroll was covering. Blake was backing up the play, so if the throw had been there to Carroll, and Pedroia decided to go to third, who would have had to race Jamie Carroll? It might have been kind of tough if Carroll's standing right there holding the ball. Well, just to take off with him standing right there.
Well, what's going to have to happen is if you're covering on those situations when you know there's no one at third, you can't let the runner get up and go. You just block. You have to block him there, which you can do.
You're saying lay on the runner right there? Yeah. Hold him down.
Get between him and the third base bag, just kind of hold him down.
Well, and you can do that if you're holding the ball.
Right.
Kevin Youkilis with runners at first and third, 1 out in the first inning, no score. And it's 0-1 to Youkilis.
You can get away with it, John, even if you don't have the ball sometimes.
As long as the runner doesn't attempt to go to the next bag and get tagged out, he's got to put the rule. Yep, he's got to make the effort, put the rule in play as far as obstruction.
Youkilis, .313 average, 14 homers, 46 batted in. The infield double play depth. And the sinking fastball down and in.
The more I've watched Youkilis, the last couple of years, the more I realize that he is really a fastball hitter. I thought he was more of a guy that, shoot the breaking ball, shoot the fastball to right field, pull the breaking ball. But he is really a fastball hitter. And that's good. It's not a criticism. That's a positive because when he gets his fastball, he usually hits it hard.
He does a good job getting himself into fastball counts because he's so disciplined.
And he chases that low fastball. Strike 2. Youkilis has had at least 1 RBI in each of his last 5 games and is among the league leaders in several major categories, including on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and the OPS, the combination of on-base and slugging added together. But also, not just a slugger, he hits well for average. He's behind in the count here. A check swing. That'll get a run home, and it hits the bag. So Blake let it roll, hoping for the best, but it hit the bag. An infield hit for Youkilis, and an RBI with Pedroia scoring for his 6th consecutive game. Youkilis driving in a run.
Well, they've had a couple of infield hits here to fuel this scoring opportunity. Well, he tries to check his swing, And he hits a little dribbler down the third baseline. I thought Blake did the right thing to let it go, but it didn't hit the corner of the grass and kick foul. It just went straight up the baseline, so that was the only play he had. He could not have grabbed it and thrown Buchholz out.
This is not starting well for Kuroda, who has not allowed a ball to be hit out of the infield.
A huge momentum shift mentally. The Dodgers lose the first 2 games here in Boston. And now, to have bases loaded, 1 out, not score, and then give up this cheap run, it's tough on you mentally.
Victor Martinez, backdoor slider for a strike at the knees. Victor Martinez, who was off to a very slow start this year, now hitting .295, 9 homers, and 37 runs batted in. But he has been a much better hitter, batting right-handed than left-handed.
Big difference.
And the splitter, that pitch you were talking about, Oral, which has been a great pitch for Kuroda.
Well, Kuroda pitched 11 years over in Japan. We talked about that rain delay, 2 hours and 24 minutes for him to come back after pitching 4 innings. You're a creature of habit as a pitcher, and with those training techniques over in Japan, that 2 hours wasn't a big deal to him. That split has been his out pitch for years, only 3 years over here in the United States.
And I also think one of the things that factored in was that he hadn't won a ball game since May 18th.
That'll get you out there again.
That'll keep you out there.
A ball and a strike. And the splitter in the dirt, and right by Russell Martin, the runners will advance. No more ground ball double play possibility.
What do you do here? You got first base open. Victor Martinez has been as hot as any Red Sox hitter lately. Do you walk him and try to get the double play? But when you do that, you're putting another runner on base. And anybody on base here is in scoring position because of the green monster. And Beltre has been...
He's been hot, too.
Yeah, well, he's been hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Yep. And he's been among the best in baseball with runners in scoring position. He's as good as he's been in all situations. He's been even better when there are RBIs out there to be had. But Martinez hitting .404 this month.
Right. Well, both of them have been hot.
So I guess pick your poison.
Well, I think, if I'm in charge, I'll make sure that Martinez doesn't get a good pitch to hit here.
Exactly.
I think you have a better chance of striking Beltre out or getting him to hit into a double play than Martinez is. If he puts the ball in play, it's definitely going to cost you a run.
Infield back, normal depth. Runners at second and third. Right back to Kuroda, and he's got Ortiz.
That's why
he's tagged out by Blake.
That's why he's pitching, John, and I'm not.
Well, I liked your strategy, Joe. I think they just got the out, one of the few outs that a ground ball back to the mound doesn't get you running. You lose your runner in scoring position at third. But Kevin Buchholz held up there at second, which is the right thing to do. You don't want to end up getting a double play with that runner on second. The check swing back. Buchholz could come over to third, but Big Papi, as slow as he is, might not be able to stay in the rundown long enough to get Buchholz over there safely, and then the Dodgers could have been out of the inning if Buchholz doesn't stay at second base.
Now, it's very common a manager will put on the contact play with a runner at third like that and 1 out. But some managers also have a contact play except if it's hit right back to the pitcher.
Well, all contact plays, technically, John, if it's hit back to the pitcher, you're not supposed to go. And when you're working on the contact play, that's the place you have to make sure the ball's not hit back to the pitcher.
But how tough is that read, Joe, as a runner at third, and then with Big Papi's speed, that's even harder.
Some guys
can do it. Some guys can't.
But let's face it. Big Papi's not known for his base running skills. But if you'd have a guy like Pedoria at third base, who's a good base runner, he can make that choice of where the ball is hit. Of whether it's back to the pitcher or ground ball to one of the infielders, and then you go.
Adrian Beltre, the former Dodger. His best year in the big leagues was with the Dodgers. His last year with the Dodgers, 2004. And he chases that slider. And the count is a ball and 2 strikes. Beltre is hitting .337 with 10 homers and 48 runs batted in. He's got the fourth best, or started the day with the fourth best batting average in the American League. He's among the league leaders in RBIs. And he's hitting over 400 with runners in scoring position. He's got Buchholz out there at second right now, what we call scoring position. 1-0, Boston ahead. Tries that slider again. 1-2, or rather 2-2 now to Adrian Beltre. Now some guys, and Beltre for a long time was one of those guys. You have 2 strikes on him and you're almost home. But Beltre is hitting .328 this year, leading the majors with 2 strikes.
And that number surprises me, John, because I saw him chasing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone yesterday.
He chased that slider, hit it right to Blake, and it just kicked foul before he gloved it. It's not where he is. It's the ball itself, and before it got to the bag, it kicked foul. So a stroke of good fortune there for Beltre, or this inning would be over.
Well, one of the things that makes you a good 2-strike hitter at .328 leading the majors is the fact that you spoil pitches. So you could be a chaser, which he has been throughout his career, Adrian Beltre, but he spoiled a pitch right there off the plate, pulls it, and fortunately for Adrian, it kicked foul, and unfortunately for the Dodgers.
One to nothing, Boston ahead. The Red Sox still have not hit a ball out of the infield in this inning. They've had 2 infield hits. Victor Martinez hit one right back to the pitcher. There's been a strikeout. And that one is back to the backstop, right by Russell Martin.
What's the record for wild pitches in an inning?
Well, but that's number 2, so it's time to start checking.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Well, the last time I went to the backstop, it was a split finger that he pulled. That was a ball that I thought he probably should have had a better shot at blocking. Yes, it's a wild pitch, but there was very little shift at all, and he tried to backhand that ball. You'd like a little bit more energy out of your catcher behind the plate, what would be perceived as more effort. It looked like a little bit of a lazy backhand for me.
So now 2 runners in scoring position for Beltre. 3-2 the count. The slider. And Jamie Carroll throws him out. And still, although never getting the ball out of the infield, the Red Sox get 1 run out of it, leading Torrey's Dodgers 1-0. Heavy rains came earlier at about 5 o'clock. A little drizzle when this game started. Now we start the second inning. 1-0, Boston ahead. And a swinging strike And that changeup from Clay Buchholz to Dodger catcher Russell Martin. It was a rugged first inning for Buchholz, who threw 30 pitches. Had to get out of a bases loaded, 1 out, tight spot, but he did. And then a really bizarre Red Sox inning, and that curveball is low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike, where the Red Sox never hit a ball out of the infield. Hiroki Kuroda was charged with 2 wild pitches. There was a steal. There was a throwing error charged to Russell Martin, and they got only 1 run out of all of that. And even then, you think, wow, they were lucky to get that. They never hit the ball.
This is not the way to block the ball. I know both of these pitches were called wild pitches, which they are, but you've got to get out there and start with your body, with your feet. And when you go Olay there, you almost look like a goaltender. Russell's got to work a little bit harder on those mechanics behind the plate. One of the things the pitching staff loves in a catcher is the ability with men on base to throw your breaking ball in the dirt. Now, not completely wide like those, but you'd love to be able to trust your catcher and throw your breaking ball in the dirt so you can get out of your jam with the batter chasing those pitches.
Pedoria got the easy hop, and Martin is out number 1. On Father's Day, Major League Baseball players, managers, coaches, and umpires are wearing the blue wristbands and wearing blue decals to promote prostate cancer awareness. Major League Baseball, the MLB Players Association, and the Prostate Cancer Foundation are teaming up for the 14th annual Home Run Challenge. Beginning June 9th and through today, 112 home runs have been hit in Major League games. For more information, check it out on MLB.com. Ted Barrett, or rather, that's Paul Noward over at first base wearing the wristbands. Blake DeWitt into center field, base hit. Second hit for the Dodgers. Mike Cameron back to the infield.
And DeWitt has been swinging the bat pretty well lately. And this is what most guys who are not home run hitters should do. Try to keep the bat level. Watch how level this bat is. It's a high pitch, but look how level he keeps it through the hitting zone. And watch this. Watch the barrel of the bat, how it travels. Stays real level, goes from there right on through, and that's what you should do if you're not a home run hitter. Hit line drives in the center field.
Jamie Carroll, who's picked it up a little bit here in the month of June. Only 24 years old is Blake DeWitt, and a guy who originally came up with the Dodgers as a third baseman, but they've been playing him at second base. Managers kind of like to have a guy who can play the middle infield and swing left-handed.
Well, most of the time, if you can play the infield, doesn't mean you're left-handed, but if you can play third base, you can definitely play second base with a little help.
Jamie Carroll in for Rafael Furcal, and we send our prayers and best wishes to Furcal, who is at his parents' home in the Dominican Republic. His father passed away early this morning, very sadly, after being injured on his ranch about 3 weeks ago. He was actually kicked in the chest by a horse. So Furcal is with his family after the death of his father, Silvino. Chin Lung Hu had been brought up from AAA Albuquerque to replace him in the interim. Joe Torre said that it is possible that Furcal would be back with the Dodgers on Tuesday when they play in Anaheim.
He was just getting hot and playing very well for the Dodgers before he had to take the bereavement leave.
He had come back from a left hamstring strain and was playing at some of the most exciting baseball he'd played in years, and the Dodgers really love him on that team. He brings a lot of energy, and their hearts are very heavy for him right now.
Furcal had hit .386 in the 10 games after coming back from the disabled list. That one got Jamie Carroll. Carroll, by the way, has played shortstop on a daily basis in the absence of Furcal and has done a sensational job. Utility guy, and he hadn't played that much shortstop recently, but he told Joe Torre that, and Torre said, well, where are you most comfortable? And he said shortstop. So he put him out there with Furcal gone, and he just did a heck of a job.
Sounds like he's a smart kid, too. Where's the opening?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's always a good answer.
I feel comfortable playing shortstop. Well, that's where I want to play.
Now, he didn't say that he waited until Furcal was hurt, and then he asked him.
Well, I've played with guys that they'll tell managers, yeah, I grew up playing shortstop. If you need one, I'm in there. And then they research the guy's history, and he'd never set foot on the field at shortstop.
Matt Kemp, the hitter, 2 men out, and he takes a called strike.
Frank Robinson asked for volunteers, wants to play third, and I said, well, I can play third. You know, after about 10 pitches over there, I kind of regretted offering to play there.
I take that back.
Yeah, I wasn't comfortable over there.
Was that the I can play third? Anybody can play third.
Right. That's what I thought.
0-1 the count to Matt Kemp, who grounded a third his first time. And that's out of play. The Dodgers are anxious for Kemp to get it going. He's still a young guy. He's only 25 years old. 262 average, 11 homers, 37 batted in. Not bad numbers, but they keep expecting that Matt Kemp is going to become one of the best players in the game. Last year, he drove in 101 runs. He stole 34 bases. He won a Gold Glove in center. Did just about everything. And they thought, man, this guy's just going to get better and better. But it hasn't happened so far this year. You see his numbers from last year. That's caught by Carroll. It's a double play. Pedoria takes the throw. Scudero is the Red Sox shortstop. I beg your pardon. Scudero caught it over to Pedoria to double up DeWitt at second. And Carroll is left on base. Now the Red Sox last of the second inning, leading 1-0 over the Dodgers. The Dodgers have had runners in scoring position in each of the first 2 innings, but have not been able to score. And there is ball 1 to Danny Nava. Nava, 27 years old, out of my alma mater. I'll have you know.
Oh.
Institute of. I'm trying. It's my alma mater, which was.
Where'd you go? Where was it, John? I know it was in California.
It's coming to me.
Okay.
All right. Don't pressure me. All right. College of San Mateo.
I know that place. I played against them when I was there.
As we used to call it, the Harvard of the West.
Okay.
And Nava fouls one. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. But he played there at the College of San Mateo. They have a very fine baseball program. Produced John Wetland,
right,
who was a great closer. Bob McClure had a very fine career in the big leagues. And now Daniel Nava, but never, I think, has there been a more unlikely big league star than Danny Nava. A little early to call him a star, except you've been playing like a star since he came up about a week ago.
1 pitch into his career.
First pitch he saw, he launched for a grand slam. And he's been continuing to hit the ball hard over and over again. That's his 10th hit in 26 big league at bats.
Well, let's go back to that play we saw when Pedoria stole second and continued on to third. First of all, I'm going to show you how you defeat that. The defense should be this. Number 1 should go here. Number 2 should cover the bag. That will eliminate Pedoria being able to get up and go. We saw that last year with Johnny Damon in the World Series, so everyone should be aware of that play by now. And how you defense it is to have the guy that's over in the second base position cover second base. That's all you have to do, and then it can't work. But if you continue to have the guys in the shortstop position cover second base, then you're asking for that, asking for trouble, because that play can happen every time.
Well, if you play it that way, and you get that low throw, then that ball goes right into center field.
Well, which is the lesser of the two evils. If he stops it, even if he stops it or knocks it down, the way they're playing it, Pedroia could have continued on unless he blocks him. But the one point you have to make is that you're already in an unorthodox defense, so you can't protect against everything. I would protect against what can happen the easiest, and that is him sliding into the bag, getting up, and continuing to run.
And if you think about it and get out in front of it, a man on first and a base hit up the middle, the pitcher has to back up third base. It could also have been Hiroki over there at third base, too, when he sees the ball go through on the stolen base.
Well, that's what I said when we were doing the World Series and Johnny Damon did it. That's the logical thing to do, but the reaction is difficult. First of all, a lot of times a pitcher, when they throw through, he hits the ground. Remember, he goes down to give the catcher a clear shot at second base. So he has to think, I'm not going to go down, I got to run to third. So I don't think I think it's easier to do it with the infielders.
So the shortstop, instead of covering,
right, let the second base.
There's nobody at third.
Right.
The guy who's on the other side at the second base position, he comes over cover. The shortstop moves over and is ready to go to third in case.
Correct.
All right. And if the center fielder then needs to charge hard and back
do it
up
anyway.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way the defense is supposed to work anyway. Your center fielder, anytime there's a steal of second base, the infielder comes in. If there's a steal of third, the left fielder comes in.
But the Dodgers were trying to have Jamie Carroll do everything that he's used to doing. He was at the shortstop position, and they took Casey Blake and they took him all the way over to the second base position. And then when there's a stolen base, they didn't have Casey Blake cover second because they figure Carroll's used to going to second base for this throw from the catcher. We'll send him. But they forgot third base.
Well, that's again, Johnny Damon's journey in the World Series showed everyone what could happen.
That was
That
was a big play.
It was the play.
Game.
As far as I'm concerned, it was the play of that particular game. It made all the difference in the world.
Yankees went back home from Philadelphia. Had 3 games to 2, and that was one of the big plays in a very tight game against the Phillies. Johnny Damon kind of took the game over right there, as did Dustin Pedroia, who eventually scored what is right now the only run of this game, as Nava and is back to the bag at first. And they seem to be very concerned about Nava trying to take off here. Kuroda has really taken a lot of time and effort trying to keep him from getting any kind of a jump, but Nava so far has not attempted a steal in the big leagues. And the slider, and that's all for the veteran Mike Cameron, the second strikeout for Kuroda. Round the bases with ESPN Monday and Wednesday nights. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball at 10 Eastern. Derek Jeter and the Yankees up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then on Wednesday, Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers up against David Wright and the Mets. Wednesday Night Baseball at 7 on Wednesday. Both games are part of the AL-NL Showdown, presented by State Farm and available on ESPN3.com. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser from Fenway Park. Sunday night baseball, interleague play. And this weekend, after getting off to a fairly slow start, the American League has started putting it to the National League. And so far in the interleague play, the American League has won 91 games, the National League 76. And it's been that way for a few years now. No matter which teams are playing which teams, the American League's had the better of it. 0-1 the count to McDonald. And he takes a strike. McDonald, 31 years old, is well traveled, but he has gotten a lot more playing time than I think he would have expected or anybody would have expected. The Red Sox outfield has been racked with injuries. Jacoby Ellsbury is still on the disabled list with a cracked rib. And Mike Cameron is just recently back from injury. J.D. Drew, the regular right fielder, is not available tonight. He strained a hamstring here on Friday night. Had to leave the ball game. They're hoping that he had an MRI yesterday. Doesn't look like anything serious. And they've shut him down yesterday and again tonight. They have a day off tomorrow. Manager Terry Francona says that maybe Tuesday at the earliest is when Drew could be back in the lineup. Scudero on deck with Nava running. And Martin's throw. He got him. DeWitt with the tag, and McDonald strikes out into a double play. Andre Ethier, then Manny coming up. And one of Manny's
presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Travelers.
Manny Ramirez back at Fenway Park, where he helped the Boston Red Sox win 2 World Series championships, and they're celebrating with his teammate on both of those ball clubs, Curt Schilling, who also had a very big part in the Red Sox winning 2 World Series. And Curt Schilling, welcome to Sunday Night Baseball.
Thanks.
That's Joe Morgan.
Yes.
And Oral Hershiser.
Yes, I know that.
All right. Just in case.
Thank you.
All right, now Manny is back in town, and the reception for the Red Sox fans. Are you surprised? Did you think that they would welcome him more joyfully, or the opposite? That maybe they would still be upset with the way he departed?
I think I expected about 50-50. I mean, I think after the first day, the boos started to outweigh the cheers, and that's, they're rooting for the hometown team, rooting for the uniform.
The batter here is Andre Ethier, who walked his first time. Manny is on deck, and then James Loney due up third against Clay Buchholz. 1-0. The Red Sox are leading, and that's a foul out of play. Now Buchholz broke in when you were still an active player,
right.
And in his second start in the big leagues, he pitched a no-hitter.
Yeah, he set the bar a little bit too high early on, I thought.
Did you think he was going to be as good as that no-hitter would have made you believe he was going to be?
Well, the stuff's always been there. I think the big question for me was how badly he wanted to be good. He was already good, but you want a guy to want to be great. And
that's down the left field line toward the corner, and a foul.
He's got 4 pitches. You know, and a little microcosm of him was that first inning. You know, he threw a 0 up there, but it took him 30 pitches to do it, and he had to use all 4 of his pitches. And I've always felt, I don't know how you feel about this, Oral, but in the first inning I want to establish my fastball and work a breaking ball. And when you throw the ball 95, you shouldn't have to use all 4 of your pitches to get through an inning.
Yeah, we built a package on it. We just haven't gotten to it yet. You're exactly right. You want to establish something and save something in your holster for later in the game.
Well, from a hitter's perspective, they had a chance to see all of his pitches right then and see how much the curveball was breaking, how much the fastball was sinking. They could see everything they wanted to see right there in the first inning. That's why, as a leadoff hitter, you like your leadoff hitter to see a lot of pitches so that they can see what that pitcher is throwing on that particular day.
I thought the Dodger first inning was much like a Red Sox inning. You know, they didn't get a 0, but I think they took an inning away out of Clay's night. And if he has a good game, he's going to go 6 instead of 7 or 7 instead of 8.
Because they forced him to throw so many pitches.
And they took a lot of close pitches. Like you said, more like the Red Sox.
In the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Kurt, you were so right in your analysis. You know, first inning, and these are of the 30 pitches, he showed all of them. The 4-seamer right away there, and he's got a great arm, got great stuff. Then the 2-seamer, which he's just started throwing more of. The big curveball, he could throw for a strike there, and then a little changeup, and then he's got the slider/cutter. That second time in around the order, there's no mystery anymore to what his pitches are doing and what he wants to do with them.
I've always felt it's the hardest thing to teach a young pitcher, how many pitches your fastball can be when it's 95. 88, 89, that's hitting speed. You get the ball into the mid-90s, pitchers need to understand your fastball can be 5 or 6 pitches.
All right, so
a lot of guys can get 88, like you're saying. Not many guys can get 95.
1-2 the count, and a pop-up. Beltre has room, and there is one away. Let's listen in as Manny Ramirez gets introduced again.
Designated hitter number 99, Manny Ramirez.
Those people came all the way from Mannywood. And there's some Sox fans who still love him, still remember the good times with Manny, but I think there's a lot of booing in there.
Well, the boos are easier to hear than the clapping, John. They're more audible. The sound is higher.
Manny singled to center his first time, and there's ball 1. So Manny Ramirez, as a teammate, though, winning a couple of World Series, right? You had to love him from that standpoint.
Yeah, you know, I have mixed emotions. Obviously, it's no secret that Manny and I had our issues, but you know, the guy worked as hard as anybody I've ever played with at the offensive part of the game. He can hit, always has been able to hit. And, you know, the fans don't have to see the personal side of this. I lived with it every day, and you live with it every day as teammates. And you know, I think the ultimate telling point of the story was at the end of the day, it was the guys he was playing with that wanted him to not be here anymore. And that's very hard to do.
I played with him in Cleveland, and when he was a young hitter, and taught him an awful lot about pitchers and what they would throw him and how to get him out. But there's an inconsistency to Manny that starts to drive you crazy. Not in his work ethic, which deteriorated at the end here in Boston and then rejuvenated back out in L.A., but the inconsistencies of the personality. Sometimes you give him the grace like you would give a child, but at some point you expect him to act like an adult, and that's what gets really hard as a teammate.
The hard part for me was Terry Francona. You know, I started the first big league game he managed, and I was very close with him. And Terry grew up in a baseball family and grew up in the baseball world, and respect for the game was always such a big deal to him. And I grew up a fan of the game, and I always wanted guys to play the game as hard as they could play it. And there were days when you weren't sure whether that was happening or not. And you could live with that every now and then, although, you know, some people find that hard to accept. At the end of the day, the question was not whether he was going to play hard, it was whether he was going to play at all.
Here is James Loney now coming up. So the reason he ended up with the Dodgers had to do with, as the story was told at that time, that the Red Sox players themselves felt like they were having, the man was a distraction in the pennant race, that they felt like they couldn't depend on whether he was going to really focus and be a part of what they were trying to do, or not?
Well, I think for a couple years there, he went on a tangent every now and then. I don't like it here, I'm not happy here. That last year, I think he made it very clear that he was serious at that point. And I think that management was questioning whether he was going to be able to even play the last half of the year. And that's where I think they had to weigh whether keeping him and getting him for half the rest of the season or getting a player to take care of his spot like Jason Bay was the right way to go.
Manny at first. He stole a base here yesterday. There's ball one to James Loney, who walked his first time. 2-0 the count to Loney now. The runner at first and 1 out. Joe, you mentioned this at the outset of the telecast.
Well, when they were together, I mean, they were, a dynamic duo. Look at Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. I mean, anytime you can put your names next to those two guys, you're doing something special. And those seasons, 40 home runs, 130 RBIs, I mean, that's amazing, to do and put up. And the 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, those are amazing numbers to put up. I've never played on a team where, as a player, I wanted a guy to go. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I played on teams where I thought guys sometimes didn't give 100%. And I don't think you can find a lot of players who like to say they give 100% every single day, but I don't know if that's exactly correct. But I've never been on a team where I wanted a teammate to be traded, for attitude. So I can't deal. No, I'm not.
No, I know.
You.
I know. I absolutely.
I'm just saying. I've never been on a team like that.
You grew up in a different generation,
right.
And it's a very powerful thing to understand that, again, we're like family in that clubhouse.
Correct.
And there's a lot of things that happened over the years, and you can, I think you can lay blame at the organization's feet for some of it because they allowed it to happen. And at some point they said enough is enough, and the line kept getting pushed and kept getting pushed. Eventually it became everything that was talked about in the clubhouse. Pre- and post-game, it wasn't whether you won or lost, it was what do you think of Manny's situation, and it wears on everybody. And I think they got to a point where they both wanted to part ways.
Well, a lot of it, in my opinion, had to do with contract as well.
Well, no question.
Manny.
No
yeah,
question.
So, you know what I mean? So that's a different story, too. I've never been on a team where a guy put his contract before the good of the team either. So, again, I have not been in those situations. And so I don't, understand how a guy could do that, especially when you're trying to win a pennant.
Say Buchholz finally gets a strike after missing the 7 consecutive pitches, having walked Manny Ramirez, and now the count is 3-1 to James Loney with Garrett Anderson on deck. 1-0 Boston ahead of the third. Curt Schilling, former Red Sox right-hander, is here with us. And Curt also now with ESPN, one of our colleagues at ESPN. 3-1 the count. And hit that hard. They get one. Carroll, Scudero doubles up James Loney. Manny gets a walk and wiped out on a double play ball. His Dodgers are trailing 1-0. Scudero, Pedoria, and Big Papi coming up.
Right. I don't know if it was cool, but yeah.
But
he could hit.
Sometimes there were aspects of it, Manny being Manny, where it was just a matter of he didn't really hustle, or he didn't really play smart, or he wasn't focused on the game. And you started to mention when you first came here in 2004 as Marco Scutaro leads off. And he takes ball one from Hiroki Kuroda. Boston leading 1-0. You came during that season.
I came at the beginning of the 04 season, yes.
So at the beginning of the 04 season. But in one of your earliest starts for the Red Sox, there was sort of a Manny being Manny.
Yeah, I was pitching in Toronto, and there was a fly ball down the left field line, 2 outs, and he kind of jogged in and kind of half played the ball. The ball bounced into the stands for a ground rule double. Ended up giving up a run, got out of the inning, and at the end of the inning, I did what I thought I was supposed to do, which was I put my glove down, and I was going to go down and discuss it with him. Right. And I was stopped on the way down to the end of the dugout and said, we don't do that. Manny's getting ready to hit, let Manny hit. And it was completely different than anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And that was to be kind of my introduction to the different nuances of Manny Ramirez.
Well, that's what I was saying by the guys when I played. If somebody did something, you confronted them. You know what I mean? You didn't, like you said, you didn't just let it go. So I think you were doing the right thing. Even, I'm not necessarily saying to have a fight or anything like that, but to confront him and say, I don't appreciate that. And at least you'll be on record with him knowing what you expect from him when he's out there.
But the challenging part is it's a different game now in the sense you saw what happened when him and Kevin Buchholz got into it in the dugout. That was on ESPN for a week. Yeah. And those things drag, and especially in this market, they don't let go.
Base hit to center for Scutaro, who struck out his first time. And Pedoria is coming up with David Ortiz coming out on deck.
But I will say this, I learned a lot about pitching from Manny. Manny was the only guy that spent as much time in the video room as I did. And and you don't know that about him if you're just talking to him. But he was a brilliant hitter. And there were times when he would go before a game, look at a pitcher, and tell me exactly how his at-bats were going to go. And the only other guy that I played with that was like that was Lenny Dykstra. He knew offensive baseball as well as anybody I've ever played with.
And as Oral was saying, and you said that he was a hard worker.
Yes.
A lot of people didn't know Manny would come out in the morning, hit, go back home, and then come back again.
On the road.
Yeah.
And lift his weights, get that all out of the way.
He would go to the weight room at 10 in the morning, go to the field and hit, come back, take a nap, and go to the field and hit early again.
Right. So, like you said, he put the effort in offensively, but not necessarily defensively.
And a lot of it had to do with his mood, a lot of times, unfortunately, because he played the left field wall when he was playing hard as well as anybody I've ever seen.
Pedoria got an infield single his first time, and he sort of turned that into a run with a steal of second, and just got up and went to third. You ever have anybody do that when you were pitching?
No. I came up in the National League, so stopping the running game was a very big deal in the National League. In the American League, it's become much less of a concern. Teams run less, but I think pitchers are spending so little time in the minor leagues, they're not learning how to manage the running game before they get to the big leagues.
Pedroia trying to get things going here with the big hitters coming up. David Ortiz on deck, and then Kevin Buchholz behind him. 1-0. Boston ahead. Curt Schilling, the Red Sox right-hander, and one time a World Series co-MVP with another great pitcher, Randy Johnson, 2001, when the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in the World Series. That was quite a World Series.
I'm biased, but I still think that was one of the greatest World Series ever played.
And you were like one of the old-timey pitchers in that World Series. You started 3 times. The runner going, the hit and run, and the ball is fouled up onto the rooftop. And the count is 1-2 strikes. But then here with the Red Sox 2004, is now forever known as the Bloody Sock Game. And you had something that was flapping inside your ankle, and they sutured it together.
It wasn't flapping that night. It was stitched down. No, it was one of those things that people ask me about. I continue to tell people it was on a team that I felt like all 24 guys would have done the same thing that I did were they in my situation, and that's why we won the World Series.
1-2 the count. He's not running this time. That's a base hit to right center. Scutaro heads over to third. First and third, nobody out. David Ortiz coming up.
You were talking about how they try to stop the running game in the National League. Well, they were covered with the second baseman when he was going. In the National League, you wouldn't do that. First of all, he's going to try to take the ball that way. and you try to cover it up. But you see a good swing here by Pedoria. He kind of fights the ball off inside, but he doesn't try to pull it. And that's why he was able to get the barrel of the bat on the ball and hit it in the right center field. He tries to pull that ball, he gets jammed and hits a weak ground ball at shortstop.
So now David Ortiz. And he ended up being walked intentionally his first time. Ortiz, who is such a force, along with Manny Ramirez on those Red Sox teams that won the World Series in 04 and 07. And were perpetually a contender. And almost always in the postseason in those years. Your teammates, Kurt. What about Big Papi now? He had a great month of May, and he's hit 4 more home runs here in June.
Oh, I was talking to him, and it's funny, Joe, you'll understand this. He was talking about it's impossible to be confident when you're not getting results.
Correct.
Hits bring confidence, and if he gets a good fastball, I think I'm calling a home run here if he gets a fastball in the strike zone. He looks good. He looks comfortable. He's confident. He's swinging the bat.
Players call that putting in a call.
You know, I've always said success breeds confidence, which is another way of saying it, because it's very difficult to be confident if you're going 0 for 4 and striking out a couple of times.
And that's the thing. If there's 600 to 700 at bats during a season, you're going to get your line drive outs and your bloop hits, but you can't feel good after an 0 for 4 no matter how hard you hit the ball unless your team's won.
Good point. And that takes away a lot of that stress at times if you can win a ball game. I got in on him.
Yep. But tagging at third is Scudero, Andre Ethier. And he's going to throw into second. Scudero will score easily. A sacrifice fly for Ortiz. 2-0 Red Sox.
Well, you call the home run if he gets a fastball, but this one is going to be on. You see where the target is. This is on inside, off the plate inside, and he jams himself. It gets in on him. And that's where they were pitching him last year a lot. So far this season, especially in the month of May, he was able to handle balls on the inside corner, but not that pitch. That's way off the plate inside.
That's the big difference for me from 04 and him, is that you didn't throw that ball anywhere near that area because he brought his hands in so well and turned on that ball so well.
Kevin Youkilis now got an infield hit and an RBI his first time. And he's had an RBI at least 1 in 6 consecutive games. Curt Schilling is with us, and how is your ankle now, by the way?
It's fine. I'm not having to do a whole lot to stress it, so I'm good. I'm watching the kids play ball and working at 38 Studios and staying busy.
At 38 Studios, that's your business. You have a business.
Yes, software development company in Maynard, Masses, 38 Studios.
You got something I can put on my iPad?
Not yet. We will.
It's coming soon.
53 wins in 4 years with the Red Sox, including 2 World Series championship rings. And he was 6-1 in the postseason. A 3.21 ERA, including with a bloody sock. And this time, he made it. Blake DeWitt covering. Pedroia with his second steal of the game. I thought maybe they had him that time.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. They're not defending the steal or the running game of the Sox. And normally, the Dodgers have to learn to do that because they play in the National League. I thought he was safe, but he hit him high on the leg, and I thought his foot may have touched the bag. Here, we'll get another look at it. See when his... No. There's that. That's a close play. See, there's about 4 inches before he got to the bag.
2-0 Sox. Last of the third, Pedroia in scoring position for Youkilis, who bounces a foul against Kuroda. 1 ball and 2 strikes. But when they sutured you up, whose idea was that? Did you say to the doctor, hey, maybe you could just suture me up? Or did the doctor have the idea? Where did that come from?
I mean, after game 1, which was probably as down as I've ever been in my career, I thought I was done. I didn't think I was going to be able to pitch again because I had a dislocated tendon that was popping out of joint every time I walked. And Dr. Morgan came in the next day and said, I've got an idea that I think might work and you might be able to pitch again. And I said, I'm good. Let's do it. He said, well, hold on a second. I need to explain it to you.
No, there's no explaining necessary.
No.
You think I can pitch again? Let's go.
And that's what we did. They basically sutured the skin of my ankle down to the bone and created a fake sheath for it so my tendon would not dislocate. And I was trying shoes and splints and wraps and braces because that was why I was brought here in my mind. I was brought here to pitch and beat the Yankees in October and help us get to the World Series, and I failed in that game. And so just getting a chance to get back out there and compete was all I was asking for.
So you can dispel that notion that was ketchup, right?
Well, you know what? Anybody in that clubhouse can dispel that notion, because I had a couple of guys walk in when I was getting the procedure done on the training table and get a couple of them got sick. So
now, when you say Dr. Morgan,
not me.
This is a real doctor.
Yes,
not
yes. Our team physician, Dr. Bill Morgan, at the time, who he's probably as responsible as anybody in this organization for us winning the 2004 World Series.
Dr. Hershiser, do you think that was a good idea, doing that?
I think it's a great idea if it lets you pitch, even one game.
Yep.
I mean, you mortgage your career to do anything to get out there, especially in the World Series.
Well, that particular game helped them get to that World Series and end the 86 years of a lack of World Series championships. Kurt, all the best to you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Thanks guys. Thank you.
Kurt Schilling, former Red Sox ace right-hander, 2 World Series rings, and now with us at ESPN. 2-0, Boston ahead as we head to the 4th inning. NL Showdown, presented by State Farm. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser, your Sunday night telecasters. Our 21st season of Sunday Night Baseball. We're at Fenway Park for some interleague play. Manny Ramirez returning to Fenway with the Dodgers. His first time back in Boston this weekend since he was traded to LA just at the trading deadline in 2008. And so far, Manny has had 4 hits in 10 at-bats. Tonight has had a single and a walk after hitting a home run here yesterday. But as Garrett Anderson has a count of 1-1 Manny has not had a win for his Dodgers against the Red Sox. The Red Sox trying for a sweep of this series, and they lead this game 2-0 back of their young burgeoning ace, Clay Buchholz, who is looking for his 10th win of the year. They've had some chances. They put 6 men on base the first 3 innings, but no runs. That is pulled foul by the veteran, Garrett Anderson, who struck out his first time with the bases loaded and 1 out in the first inning.
Yeah, John, you talk about Manny, and we talked a little bit about his inconsistencies, but his work ethic was there. But he has made a huge impact on the Dodgers since he's been there since July 31st, 2008. They've actually gone 163 and 121 since he's been there, which is the best record in the National League since that date. So there's no doubting that he's not an integral part of this club and has made an impact in L.A.
He's hit hard, but a nice stab of that ball by Pedoria. One away.
Well, Pedoria has won a Gold Glove, so he's a very good defensive second baseman. A little unorthodox there. He gets down, slides into it, but he has such good hand-eye coordination he was able to catch it cleanly and make the play.
Gold Glove 2 years ago when he also was the MVP in the American League. Dustin Pedroia.
Interesting how when you're MVP you want to Gold Glove and then maybe next year you do not because you don't win the MVP. No, I mean it's a fact. I mean I've seen a lot of times when guys have good offensive seasons and they end up winning the Gold Glove as well.
So let's see.
Not me.
You won a Gold Glove when you won the MVP, though.
Yes.
I thought you'd been much better defensively before that.
And you know what? To tell the truth, John, I was.
I won a Gold Glove when I won the Cy Young.
Right.
And it was the only year I won a Gold Glove.
So maybe I got something there, huh?
People have good thoughts about people that are doing something well somewhere else.
You must have fielded your positions well. You guys were so good. There's a ball.
I don't know if it was any differently than the other year.
Yeah. No, I do believe that I played better one year before I won the Gold Glove. It was, I just didn't win a Gold Glove.
Gold Glove, Cy Young, National League Championship Series MVP, Oral Hershiser, 1988.
We need her to move over a little bit.
I need to take an inning off, go down and shake that guy's hand. Where is he?
That's a Dodger guy. That's a Dodger person.
What's that? Is SAWS World Series MVP, that last one? There's two MVPs there, Oral.
Yeah, World National League Championship MVP and World Series MVP.
Was that the year you guys played the
Joe, let's just move on.
Okay. All right.
We beat your Oakland team.
I was going to ask that, but I didn't want to bring up bad memories for Oakland.
You guys talk over what it's like to win an MVP while we go to the studio and Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. Congratulations to Mr. Graham.
Well, I tell you what, if I'm Russell Martin, though, I might be getting a little self-conscious here. The two times he's missed up and in, he's almost hit Russell Martin with those two pitches. And then he looks at his finger. That's what's kind of interesting.
Martin grounded the second his first time. He pops this one up. Foul ground. Victor Martinez, and he makes the catch. As we head to break now, we hear from Dodgers center fielder Matt Kemp with our one-a-day men's Father's Day tribute.
He came to almost every game. Him and my mom were always at every game and support me.
I love him to death. As fathers, we sometimes don't say it enough. Maybe that's why they always say hi to mom instead of hi dad. When they get the opportunity. But, it's all right, sons. We dads, we know you love us. If I had buttons on this shirt, they'd probably be popping off right now. And I am a proud father.
Happy Father's Day, Pops. Thanks for everything you've done for me, and I definitely wouldn't have been here without you.
Cristiano Ronaldo leads Portugal against North Korea. Then at 9:30 in the morning, Chile takes on Switzerland. At 2 in the afternoon Eastern Time, Fernando Torres and Spain up against Honduras. The 2010 FIFA World Cup on ESPN tomorrow. Available on TV, online, and on your phone. Earlier today, the Red Sox placed a couple of soccer goals on the field here at Fenway Park. It's part of a promotion for football at Fenway. An exhibition soccer match will take place July 21st between the Celtic of Glasgow and Sporting of Lisbon. They have the soccer ball actually mowed into the outfield here at Fenway Park. There it is out in shallow center field. Victor Martinez, who is not from Brazil, but nonetheless, he loves Team Brazil and the way they play soccer. And he was out showing us his moves in his Brazil togs.
There are a lot of people who are Brazilian fans because of the great Pele made us soccer fans of the Brazilian team.
Well, Pele called it the beautiful game. I used to broadcast soccer, you know, back when you were winning MVPs and whatnot.
Did you?
When Pele played for the New York Cosmos. So, and let's study Victor Martinez here. And his voice. Ronaldinho's jersey, which Pele's number was also number 10 for Santos of Brazil, and then the New York Cosmos in the old North American Soccer League.
Fernando Valenzuela and I were teammates with the Dodgers, and Fernando was a huge soccer fan. We used to do hacky sack in the back auxiliary clubhouse as part of our cardio. Fernando taught me how to play hacky sack. We used to back there and play for about an hour. Keep that ball going up and up. He's a Spanish broadcaster for the Dodgers with the Hall of Famer Jaime Jarrín.
Jaime, who is a recipient of the Ford C. Frick Award and is here tonight. The great voz de los Dodgers en español, Jaime Jarrín. He's been there almost since the Dodgers' first game in Los Angeles. Adrian Beltre with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. He grounded it short his first time. Danny Nava and Mike Cameron will follow. We're in the last of the fourth. Hiroki Kuroda on the mound for the Dodgers, and he is trailing in this game 2-0. Although the Red Sox have hardly touched him. The Red Sox have hit tonight like the Dodgers back in the 60s when they had Koufax and Drysdale. They have Maury Wills stealing bases. Oh, there's that slider. That's the one he used to always chase. And he wouldn't let Russell Martin tag him out at first, and finally he is out. The 5th strikeout for Kuroda. United States will face Algeria in the World Cup on Wednesday. And they, with a win, their fate is in their own hands. If they can win that game, they move to the knockout stage. New Zealand stunned the defending World Cup champion Italy with a 1-1 draw today. And Brazil advanced to the knockout stage as
I watched the entire U.S. game. I guess it was last Friday. I watched that entire game. Got up early on the West Coast, of course. Started at 6:30 West Coast time. Watched it. Not that I'm not already up, but I watched the game.
1 ball, 1 strike to Danny Nava. Pele, once he became really a legend because of the World Cup, and he helped Brazil win 3 World Cups in 4 chances. And when they lost in England, he was so discouraged. The play was so physical. He got really beat up in that World Cup. England eventually won the Cup. Pele didn't ever want to play it in the World Cup again, because for him that was not the way the game was supposed to be played. So then they decided they were going to change the whole thing for the next World Cup in Mexico, 1970. And they said, we have to play like the rest of the world is playing. Our style doesn't work anymore. But finally, Pele and the rest of the players said, we don't understand that style. We don't like that style. We can only play the way we Brazilians play, because we play to a certain rhythm, and that's the beauty of the whole thing for us. They got a different coach, finally. And they went to Mexico and played their style. They played Italy. Italy was favored. And they beat Italy in the championship. And they beat them in a lopsided score. And that's when 120,000 fans at the Aztec Stadium in Mexico City dubbed Pelé El Rey. Pelé the King. And his legend was there forever after. As Nava gets hit by the pitch. He had singled his first time, and he is on board again. And the manager, Terry Francona, one of the Red Sox trainers, out to see if Nava's okay.
John, I watched Nava swing the bat. He reminds me of the guy we saw last week in Chicago, Tyler Coleman. They've got young guys with a longer swing, but they open their hips. Watch his hips. Look at that. Beautiful. His hips are opened all the way around. He gets the bat through. And a grand slam on his first at bat, first pitch, first big league swing.
Second player to hit a grand slam on his first major league pitch seen. Kevin Kuzminoff, who's now with Oakland, did it just 4 years ago. Although he was with Cleveland at that time. A little bit later, he was traded on to San Diego, now with Oakland. But for Danny Nava to do it, this is a guy who was cut by his college team. And I think when he got to college, he weighed 135 pounds. And then went back to junior college to the College of San Mateo. And had a couple of outstanding years there. And then made the team at the University of Santa Clara. And he hit well for Santa Clara. But he was not exactly an overnight sensation where they kept saying, man, this guy's going to be a big star in the big leagues.
Well, he's got a star approach, and we showed it there. His hips open so nicely that lets him let the bat flow through. He has a little longer swing, and you need to clear your hips so when you have a longer swing like that.
They say if you went through the depth chart of the Red Sox organization, and here's that swing you're talking
about. Watch how his
Joe.
hips open. Watch that. See, they're going to be facing. Look at that. I mean, that's beautiful. That allows his hand and watch how his upper body can flow through the swing. See that? If his hips were blocking it, he would hook that ball foul because you'd have to roll over with your top hand. So he has a very nice approach there.
Cameron with the pop-up. And then Cameron veers off toward the dugout. If they'd let that ball drop, they could have easily turned it into a double play. And I know Cameron's frustrated that he's not hitting. But you don't just invite them to turn a ball into a double play.
It was a little early peel off. You see Mike coming out of the box, hits that 45-foot line, goes a few more steps, and he's headed towards the dugout. A little bit of frustration there right now. The veteran that's brought here for his defensive prowess, but also has pride in his offense. It's just not there right now.
Kind of a little bit what we were talking about with Manny. I said everybody likes to tell you they give you 100% all the time, but it's not that way. And I mean, that goes for me. That goes for other players that I've been around. You do not run out every ground ball. You do not. It's just not there. I mean, it's something that just doesn't happen.
What you try to do, what the big league clubhouse and the players allow, is an impression of hustling, an impression of giving full effort. But everybody knows that at some point during the day, a lot of players are going to give about 80% when they run down the line.
Well, frustration sets in, and a lot of times you just go blank.
And sometimes they're nursing a little quad pull or a hamstring pull that they know it's not worth the risk to go full out here and be on the DL compared to just jogging through solidly through a play and getting it done, but not getting it done at full bore.
But on that play, I'm not even talking about.
Well, you have to run it the correct direction.
Go to first base.
Yes.
Even if you're not running hard, go to first. Don't just invite them to let it drop and turn it into an easy double play.
And that's where the fans and management picks up on that for sure, and teammates want you to at least run it in the correct direction. It might not be full effort, but the correct direction.
Well, I think the season has been an extreme disappointment for Cameron, who's been an excellent player for a long time, one of the best center fielders in the game, and a guy who has hit with power, Gold Glove in center field. And he's been hurt, and he's 37 years old now. That sometimes tends to happen a little bit more often when you're that age in professional sports. But even when he's been playing, he doesn't have the stroke right now.
Well, one of the great things about both of these managers is they understand, Joe Torre, of when to give a veteran player a little grace as far as hustle, as far as attitude. And same thing with Tito Francona. Terry Francona has dealt with all the issues, the political issues, and the microscope of Boston from what Manny did here and others, when he knows when to lay the hammer down internally so that it doesn't go public, and he also knows when he needs to let a player go a little bit.
It's Manny talking it over with Coach Mariano Duncan. Cameron back in the Boston dugout. A moment ago when he was sitting there, he looked depressed, didn't he? He's had 77 at-bats so far this year. No homers, only 2 RBIs. And Cameron hit 25 home runs last year. And I think he was excited to come here to Boston with the whole idea of better defense, to anchor that middle outfield and center field, and to take advantage of the friendly dimensions here at Fenway Park as a right-handed pull hitter. He figured to hit a lot of home runs over that big wall. A lot of balls off that wall and over that wall here at Fenway. But instead, he's been injured, trying to come back from injury, and probably still hurting all the while, even while he's playing. McDonald gets into the force play. Blake to DeWitt for the force out on Nava. We're going to the 5th inning now. Clay Buchholz heads back to the hill with a 2-0 lead. Taco Bell, part of the AL-NL Showdown, presented by State Farm. Red Sox 2 runs, 5 hits. The Dodgers no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error as we head to the 5th inning. And Clay Buchholz go back to work. Kurt Schilling was with us earlier. And Manny Ramirez back here at Fenway. And there are a lot of Dodger fans in from Mannywood. Although, has the Mannywood thing started to die out?
Yeah, it's not as big in L.A. as it was a couple of years ago.
It was pretty big when he was hitting 398.
Right. Kind of like that gold glove. You hit 398, you get a gold glove.
Manny ain't getting a gold glove. I don't care what he hits. Yeah, let's just not go there.
He did not get
He could hit 500. He's not getting a gold glove.
I do remember one year I came here and Manny said he was going to win the gold glove. And he made a couple of nice plays in the game.
I think it's an attention issue with Manny as far as defense. I think the moment you're at the plate, there's adrenaline, there's fear of the ball coming in, he's in love with hitting. But when you go out to defense, it's just hard for him to concentrate that long.
I've always said that the things that make you a great hitter also can make you a great defensive player if you're willing to work at it. You have to have hand-eye coordination to be able to hit, to be a good hitter. You have to have that same hand-eye coordination to be a good defensive player as well. And in some cases, if you're a middle infielder, you got to be light on your feet, have some be able to dance and move
a
around.
co-Hall of Famer of yours, Tony Gwynn, came into the league, a great hitter, not a great defender, and turned himself into what I thought was a possible Gold Glove winner out there in right field.
How many did he win? He won several Gold Gloves.
I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Couple.
Yeah, but you're exactly right.
Had a pretty good arm.
Yeah, but he learned and worked at it. And like you said, he took his offensive concentration and took it out there on the defensive side. Made himself a great player on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, I think Albert Pujols,
exactly,
is a guy who fits into that category.
Even though he's not as good at this point as Albert Pujols at first base, but I think Ryan Howard has done that. He's worked at becoming a much better first baseman.
Nobody ever predicted a Gold Glove for Albert Pujols.
No, not
when he started. He was left field one day, third base another day, first base this day. And that is strike 3 called. He got caught looking at a fastball. How could that happen? Back on July 18th, 2008 against the Angels, Manny misplayed what appeared to be a bloop RBI single by Maicer Izturis into a triple. This was not pretty. And it ended up being an 11-3 Red Sox loss. Theo Epstein was there for that game, though Manny was all smiles later on. Not that many people in Red Sox Nation were thinking it was all that hilarious.
But I have to tell you, John, if you're Manny, what else can you do? But smile. No, I mean, what else can you do? You laugh at yourself.
And take the roller skates off.
Yeah. You got to laugh at yourself. I don't know what else you can do there.
Before that particular play happened, the last time you saw a play that was like that was when?
I'm thinking.
Continue on. Think for the rest of the game.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're, he was laughing at himself,
right?
I guess.
And that's a good defense mechanism. I was his teammate for 3 years in Cleveland, and the defense mechanism for Manny was either an I don't care, and we kind of taught him to don't go with the I don't care because that doesn't work with fans and the media. So his next defense mechanism was, I guess I'll just laugh at myself.
But there was a great Manny quote that I thought helped his team when they were trailing in the league championship series. And he said, we're going to wake up tomorrow. Meaning, that was against Cleveland.
Nice play by Adrian Beltre to take one away from Jamie Carroll.
And that's one of the reasons they brought him here is run prevention.
Well, early in the game, Joe talked about volunteering to play third base during his career for Mr. Robinson. He said, I'm not sure after 10 pitches I like it. It's because of this. You're a little closer to the ball, and it comes at you pretty quick. But Adrian Beltre has made a career in Gold Gloves. Take real time, and let's see what Joe used to flinch at down there at third base. Now, Joe, I played pitcher. We're 60 feet 6 inches. You should try those up there.
Yeah, well,
those are tough too.
No, I mean that's an excellent play because he had to use his timing perfectly timed.
That reminded me of a drill that Ozzie Smith designed of taking infield from his knees because he couldn't use his legs at all, and he had to catch wherever the fungo ball was hit at him. And he'd take ground balls, the first 10 or 15 ground balls before BP would start, on his knees on the grass, and have the fungo hitter hit him there and just work on his hands. And that's where Adrian ended up, on his knees.
2 down, nobody on. Matt Kemp hitting leadoff in this game, and he has grounded out to third and lined into an inning-ending double play. Two and 1 the count to the powerful Matt Kemp. And 2-2, and Buchholz throws a fastball right by. That was the 86th pitch thrown by Buchholz. And we're in the 5th inning. Remember when Curt Schilling was with us earlier in the game, he sort of commended the Dodgers for their Red Sox-like approach in that first inning, and he thought it would cost Buchholz an inning from his night. That heavy pitch count early on in this game.
Yeah, the 30 pitches that he threw in the first inning, he said, he might end up having a great game, but it might only be 6 innings instead of 7 or 8 because of the number of pitches it took. And Curt talked about how it was hard to teach young pitchers that throw 95 that their fastball represents more than one pitch. And Curt was referring to changing location and using that pitch inside and out, up and down.
He thought a good fastball was about 5 different pitches.
And that struck him out. A low slider. He could not check. Dustin Pedroia coming up second. David Ortiz third. It's been a big night for Pedroia already. 2 hits, 2 steals, and a run scored. 2-0 Boston. Marco Scutaro leads off top of the order for the Red Sox. Last of the 5th inning against Hiroki Kuroda. And it is 0-1. Scutaro has struck out and singled. He led off the 3rd inning with that single and eventually came around to score Boston's 2nd run. They scored in the 1st and 3rd innings and lead 2-0 as we play the 5th. And here we are at the top of the order again. Pedroia has been a key man in both of those rallies. And there's a ball. They have not hit the ball hard against Kuroda. Nobody's hit one to that wall in left field or even close to that wall. They've hardly hit a ball to the outfield, except for a couple of singles to center. Kuroda has been outstanding. And yet he's given up a couple of runs as that slider misses. He's also had him swinging and missing a whole lot. He's had 12 swings and misses so far in 4 innings.
Throws a lot of non-fastballs and fastball counts. Gets hitters to swing and miss a lot in those counts.
And that sinker is low at 94 miles an hour. 3-1 the count to Scutaro. Scutaro, who was with the Blue Jays last year and had his best season in the big leagues. And had a very strong year defensively as well as offensively.
He made only 10 errors last year, but he made his 9th the other day here. So I don't think he's going to match that again.
Casey Blake. Wide throw, but a nifty bit of footwork there by the very smooth James Loney. And Terry Francona thought maybe it was a little bit too smooth. And he's out to chat with Paul Noward about that call.
Well, Blake's throw is high, and James Loney, because he's so tall, he was able to go up very close. I can't. We'll get another look at it here. Can't tell if his foot was on the bag when the ball goes into the glove or not, but awfully close.
And I think because he's so smooth, even if he was off, the illusion, what is he on? If you get real jumpy and have some tension over there at first base, you see the foot's still on, the ball is touching the glove.
Yeah, I think you got the call right.
Excellent call by Paul Nauert. And good work there by James Loney. Pedoria. And there is Blake. It's a fair ball. And he stayed on the back for that one, too, pulling it out of the dirt. Not many first basemen are slicker than James Loney over there.
Well, this looked like it might be another infield hit for Pedroia, but a nice play by Casey Blake and a better play by James Loney to pick that ball out of the dirt. That wasn't the short hop. That's that in-between hop. And he does a good job of staying down. Watch how he stays down and just raises the glove. Excellent job there by James Loney.
Very Keith Hernandez, J.T. Snow-like over there on that one. Don Mattingly-like. Mattingly, his own hitting instructor with the Dodgers, who is a great defensive first baseman. Ball one to David Ortiz, who has been walked intentionally and has also hit a sacrifice fly. There's Donnie Ballgame alongside Joe Torre in the Dodgers dugout. Mattingly had a lot of games here at Fenway as a Yankee. And as much as you always think of right-handed hitters and hitting the ball over that big wall in left field here at Fenway, it's the left-handed hitters who have often been the guys who have shown most brightly at Fenway over the years. Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Fred Lynn along the way, and of course David Ortiz, who became a little bit of a different kind of hitter when he came to Boston from the kind of hitter he had been with the Twins. And that slider is too low. 2-1. Ortiz now with 46 RBIs. Ortiz has had 198 official at bats this year. He's already equaled the most home runs he's ever hit in his first 200 at bats of any season. And he just got a piece of that one. Ortiz also with 46 RBIs now. His career best after 200 official at bats is 48. So those numbers, maybe not the batting average that we saw back 4 or 5 years ago from Ortiz, but the run production numbers are extraordinary.
It's easy to see that he's more confident at the plate, and even when he had the sacrifice fly, he was disappointed it wasn't a hit. But if you're struggling, you'll take the sac fly and hope that that gets you on track. But his sac fly was disappointing to him. And that'll tell you about a hitter's confidence. And just right there, just the take on the fastball in, a little strut across home plate, kind of in his own zone, not really worried about anything going on around him other than his business.
You know, last time we were here, I talked about him having to do it mentally because physically you can only take so much batting practice, etc. And he finally did that. He said mentally he just got himself together and started hitting.
Struck him out with the high slider. And the first 3 up, 3 down inning for Kuroda. On to the 6th. Andre Ethier, then Manny Ramirez coming up. Manny back in Boston. 2-0. The Red Sox leading the Dodgers.
One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. And Genworth Financial.
Gloucester, Mass. Gloucester is a port city on Boston's North Shore, one of the top fishing ports in the Northeast, and it has that most noted landmark there, the man at the wheel statue dedicated to they that go down to the sea in ships. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser. Doesn't seem like we've really satisfied our craving for Boston seafood quite enough on this visit yet.
Well, they used to have a great place in New York that prepared that Gloucester sole a certain way. Man, I loved it. It's not there anymore.
No, not Gloucester.
What is it?
Gloucester.
Gloucester sole.
Right. Gloucester.
That's all right. You said it.
How do you say potato?
But they used to prepare it great in New York, a place in New York.
When I actually did Red Sox games a long time ago, my partner was Ken Coleman, great former voice of the Red Sox and an outstanding voice of the game who grew up here. As Andre Ethier bounces a foul, Manny Ramirez on deck. Anytime there was a city, Gloucester, Worcester, whatever, I just asked Ken because he knew all the names. So that was a big help to a guy coming in from out of town to broadcast the Red Sox.
Ken was a broadcaster when I went to the Reds my first year. He was over there as a broadcaster.
I got in early last night. I went and had some mussels and some sea bass. Had some chowder for lunch this afternoon in room studying. Got a little bit of the seafood.
Well, good work.
Good work.
So happy for you.
That's not seafood.
That's Fenway food.
Pizza, pretzels, sausage.
Shallow left field and a catch from Nava. Danny Nava into a slide to take one away from Ethier, which that's a big play with Manny Ramirez coming up next in a 2-run ball game.
I see players make that play all the time, and I'm just surprised sometimes that when you slide that your head might drop down and you might lose track of the ball. But he makes the play.
It's 8 in a row retired by Clay Buchholz. He has not allowed a base runner since Manny Ramirez walked in the 3rd inning. As Danny Nava keeping Ethier off the bases in front of Manny, who otherwise would have been the possible tying run here. With that big wall in left field beckoning. The wall. Sharp curve in the dirt. Manny has singled to center and walked against Buchholz. 2-0. Boston ahead in the 6th inning. The Dodgers have only 2 hits against Buchholz.
An interesting pitch there. He hasn't thrown Manny many curveballs. And again, I think Manny's in a more of attack mode early in the count now than he used to be. He used to take a lot of pitches, took a lot of first pitch strikes.
Another curveball. 2-0 with James Loney on deck. Loney, the cleanup hitter. Joe Torre moved the lineup up a notch. Kemp lead off tonight. Ethier second, Manny third, and Loney fourth. But Loney is not a power hitting cleanup hitter, but a good RBI man. You see him in the background there. There is Scudero. And Manny retired for the first time tonight. 4 for 11 for the series.
Well, Clay Buchholz has battled his way. I know there's all zeros up there, but he has had to go to his safety valve tonight, which has been the changeup. He's a 4-pitch pitcher with the slider, the curveball, the fastball. He's got 2 fastballs, the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer. But tonight, the changeup has been the pitch as he's battled through this game that has really kept his head above water. And through his maturity this year, you know, he has 9 wins. He could tie David Price and Phil Hughes for 10 wins in the American League. The maturity of what pitch to go to and when right now is what is allowing him to continue to be consistent.
James Loney takes ball 1. He has walked and grounded into an inning-ending double play. 2 down, nobody on, as Buchholz is closing in on 100 pitches. He may not be around much longer than this 6th inning, although he's throwing extremely well right now, better than he threw in the early innings.
Well, he's throwing more changeups, as Earl said, and these hitters are looking fastball. That was a fastball swing there by Loney, and it was a changeup.
A ball and a strike. Garrett Anderson on deck would be next. 2 down, nobody on. Curveball. Buchholz. Buchholz covers and gets the put out. 99 pitches through 6 innings. Very ace-like again. As we head to break, we hear from Terry Francona, Red Sox manager, with our one-a-day men's Father's Day tribute. Now the Red Sox last of the 6th inning. And here is Kevin Buchholz, the cleanup hitter, against Kuroda, and he fouls one into the batter's box. Buchholz got an infield hit. Just a roller down the third base side in the 1st inning that finally Casey Blake, with no chance to throw him out, just let roll, and it hit the bag. And that knocked in Boston's first run. That's been the kind of night the Red Sox hitters have had against Kuroda, though. Were it not for a couple of good breaks, they might not have scored at all. 1 ball, 1 strike to Buchholz, who then struck out in his 2nd plate appearance. So he's 1 for 2.
And Hiroki had 8 Ks in his last start against Cincinnati in only 5 innings, and has brought that kind of stuff into this game. Just been nicked up.
6 strikeouts tonight. That slider popped up. Down the line comes Loney into foul territory. 1 away. The NCAA College World Series continues on ESPN2 tomorrow with 2 games. 4:30 Eastern will be Florida State taking on number 3 seed Florida in Game 5. Then at 9 o'clock, TCU faces number 6 seed UCLA in Game 6. The NCAA College World Series presented by Capital One on ESPN2 tomorrow.
I've got some studying to do, John. I'm doing that TCU UCLA game.
You're going from Fenway to the College World Series.
Tomorrow morning through Minneapolis to Omaha, rent the car, get over to the stadium, and do the game.
I hope you can make it in time.
Well, it's 9 o'clock, John. You should be able to get there by 9.
9 p.m. Eastern, I'll be fine. I think I get in around 2:15. I'm glad I have a stop in Minneapolis. It just gives me more time to study.
I remember I used to make that trek.
I just hope there's no...
I hope to get your resume someday and not have to.
I just hope there's I hope there's no bad weather for you.
Yeah,
I didn't mean that, sir.
I hope
back
there's
there.
no bad
I
weather.
didn't really mean that. I love my job. I love going to the College World Series. Please.
I'm trying to think how many years I did that. I did that quite a few years myself, the College World Series.
And then finally you said,
well, that was even before we had Major League Baseball. I did it. ESPN, before they had Major League Baseball, I used to go there. I think I was there for 2 weeks at a time.
That is way, way back.
Yeah.
That you went there.
Yeah.
Is this the last year?
It was great.
Rosenblatt last year, exciting year. We've got a lot of packages built on that history.
You should get back there for old times, Joe.
Well, I probably would have, except Oral's doing 9 o'clock.
If you want, you can. Come on back. We'd love to have you.
He's got about 4 flights.
I can't say that you're going to get paid, but we'd love to have you come over.
That's okay. I did the Little League a few years ago, too, and that was fun. Interesting. Yeah.
TCU and UCLA, they both won their first games.
UCLA in there with a big pitching staff. For sure.
A lot of good pitchers.
And TCU has not been there for a long, long time, if ever.
The Horned Frogs.
Yes. What was San Mateo's nickname?
The Bulldogs.
They were the Bulldogs? I should have went there. But it was the Harvard of the West.
Yeah, sort of. 2 down as Victor Martinez strikes out, and here is Adrian Beltre. Danny Nava, the guy who went to the College of San Mateo, now starring for the Red Sox, rather remarkably. View from behind Johnny Pesky's foul pole as Adrian Beltre comes up. Nava out on deck. Beltre has grounded a short and struck out against Kuroda. The fastball misses. 2-0. Boston ahead of the last of the 6th inning. It's very rare to come here and see any pitcher handle the Red Sox lineup as well as Kuroda. I mean, how many hard hit balls have there been against him? Almost none.
And the Red Sox have been a run scoring machine this year. But that tells you that you're a good team when you can.
Short hops the 379 marker. And Beltre has a double, and I think immediately that's the best hit ball against Kuroda all night long.
And that's your fault because he was doing well, and you said they weren't hitting any balls hard. So Beltre decided he'd hit one hard.
I broke an unwritten rule?
Yeah, unwritten rule there. Well, Beltre swings. I mean, he's been swinging hard now. He's gone down. Look at his back knee. It's already got dirt on it. I mean, he goes down all the way down to his knee. When he swings now, he hit a home run like that a couple of days ago. I mean, he just goes down and lets it go. Line drive over the head of Kemp. Kemp didn't have time to get back there. And it's a double for Beltre.
That ball got there in a hurry. That is the first hit by either team since the 3rd inning. So now here is Danny Nava with a chance to knock in a run. Nava has singled to center and been hit by a pitch. They say that on the Red Sox organizational depth chart, when the season began, Nava would have been the 8th outfielder. The teams have, generally in the big leagues, they have their 3 outfielders and a 4th guy who could play if somebody goes down. And sometimes it's pretty common there'd be a 5th outfielder. And then they have, in their minor league system, a guy could come up, somebody gets hurt. At the start of the season, he was probably number 8 on that list. And yet here he is, and he got this unexpected opportunity. This was not something that looked like it was looming on the horizon for him when he went to spring training or when the season began, because he was not going to be the first guy called up or the second guy or even maybe the 3rd guy. But with all of the injuries they've had, here he is, and he is starting off with a hot streak.
He swings the bat with a lot of confidence for somebody who is not supposed to be here. The bat speed is there, and Joe has broke down his swing and talked about his hips and how good they are in opening up so he doesn't roll over pitches. And he's just got one of those pretty left-handed swings that's very functional.
He's had 10 hits and 26 at-bats as a big leaguer, a .385 average. And so far, 7 RBIs. Of course, 4 of those came on the first pitch he ever saw in the big leagues. And Kuroda looks Beltre back to second. 2-0, Boston ahead here in the 6th inning. That's 105 pitches, by the way, now for Kuroda. Kuroda, 35-year-old right-hander, many years in the Japanese leagues before coming to the Dodgers. And he's off the outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, we talked about, the Red Sox and how well they play here in Fenway Park, but they're going to have 22 of 31 on the road. So they're going to have to make sure they continue this hot streak as they go on the road.
This 107th pitch coming up will be Kuroda's longest outing of the year as far as pitch count is concerned. Threw 106 in his second start against Arizona. This will be the 107th.
The pickoff throw to second and away from the shortstop Jamie Carroll. That would have been interesting to see if he'd held on to that ball, what the call would have been. Second base umpire Ted Barrett never made a call until he saw the ball roll away. Which makes you wonder. If he was safe, he's safe whether he held it or not.
He definitely was holding the call to see what was going on with the ball, if it was secure or not.
2-2 the count to Nava with a runner in scoring position. Red Sox already ahead 2-0. Mike Cameron on deck, a right-handed hitter. He would be next. And the splitter. Nasty. That puts him away. 8 strikeouts for Kuroda in 6 innings. Garrett Anderson coming up against Buchholz. We go to the 7th. Dodgers trailing. The 25-year-old Clay Buchholz looking for his 10th win of the year into the 7th inning. And this first pitch of the inning will be his 100th of the night. Garrett Anderson takes a called strike. Garrett has struck out. That was a big moment in this game, and it occurred right in the very first inning. Garrett came up with the bases loaded, 1 out. The Dodgers a chance to jump ahead, but Buchholz struck him out. The Dodgers did not score in that inning and have not scored for 6 innings now against Buchholz.
And the thing that makes it worse for the Dodgers is that Garrett Anderson had a good record against Buchholz. He was 5 for 9 with 2 home runs.
The only Dodger who had ever faced Buchholz before tonight. and had done well against him with a couple of home runs. Blasts that one toward the Boston bullpen, and it will bounce into the bullpen. An automatic double. Darnell McDonald gave chase but had no chance to get it. And Anderson really clobbered that one into that Boston bullpen where Daniel Bard is now warming up.
Remember in the bat when Garrett Anderson struck out in the first inning with the bases loaded, it was followed by a curveball and then the fastball, and a veteran hitter makes an adjustment. He said, he got me out on a fastball early, you're not going to get me out on a fastball twice. And that one at 93, a little bit more of the plate, he smoked it into right center.
And as I recall, if memory serves, as Anderson, no surprise to see him do well here at Fenway. He has always done well here. Casey Blake comes up. As I recall, Buchholz, when he struck out Anderson on that fastball in the first, got a little extra on it, 96.
Correct.
Right to the center field of Cameron, tagging up is Garrett Anderson and bluffing. Throw right into the cutoff man Scudero. So Casey Blake is now 0 for 3. Let's go to the studio. Dari Noko with the Sports Center right now. All right, thanks, Dari. And man, CC Sabathia, who's been good at times and not so good at times, was extremely good today as he beat Johan Santana. Santana gave up the grand slam, and that's it. The only runs of that game. But Sabathia, 8 strong innings against the Mets, who've been red hot.
Well, it kind of looked a little bit like this game. They had 2 infield hits and then a big fly. Jeter got an infield hit, then Swisher bunted for an infield hit. And Teixeira hit a grand slam.
Also Martin takes the breaking ball in the dirt. Nice save there by Victor Martinez, keeping Garrett Anderson from going to third. A ball under strike to count. Also Martin has not been driving in runs and has
16 is all he's driven in so far this season.
And he got 4 home runs and only 16 batted in. 221 at bats. They thought he was going to be an excellent hitter when he was younger. And that ball is down the right field line toward Pesky's pole and caught by McDonald. And over to third base goes Garrett Anderson. And there you can see why that was such a big play. Victor Martinez grabbing that ball in the dirt and keeping Garrett from going to third. 2 down. ESPN has both the Red Sox and Dodgers covered after this weekend online at ESPNBoston.com and ESPNLosAngeles.com. The follow-up reports on this series and a look ahead for both the Sox and the Dodgers, as well as all the sports news from both cities delivered with a local perspective. ESPNBoston.com and ESPNLosAngeles.com. Check it out. That one hits Blake DeWitt. That's the second batter hit by Clay Buchholz in this game, and DeWitt is really hurting. Stan Conti, veteran Dodger trainer, comes out. So John Farrell, the pitching coach, calling to the Boston bullpen where Bard is up, or has been up.
Every time I got hit as a batter, I usually got it in the meaty part of the area, but these bones, it doesn't feel good. I've gotten smoked on line drives up the middle as a pitcher on the shin. This one looks like catching one in the back of the knee there. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel good.
Joe Torre out there, also third base coach Larry Boa, Stan Conti working with Blake DeWitt, Mariano Duncan, number 25, the first base coach.
Well, I think it's a situation, if you're the Dodgers, you're running out of time here. And if he can't run, I think you have to take him out because you're in a position here where you can try to steal a base because the Red Sox are not good at holding runners and keeping them from stealing bases. So you want a guy that can maybe steal second base here as the tying run.
Or at least score from first on a double.
And they are going to take him out of the game. He's being helped off the field by his manager, Joe Torre. And Chin Lung Hu is going to come in as the pinch runner. Who has just been brought up from the minor leagues with the regular shortstop, Rafael Forcal, away from the ball club on bereavement leave at his family's home in the Dominican Republic after the tragic death of his father early this morning. And with the second hit batter of the game, Buchholz had not hit any batters all year. He is going to be removed from the game. So Buchholz, 6 2/3 innings of shutout ball. And a big ovation from the appreciative crowd at Fenway. He departs with a lead and a chance at his 10th win of the year. Portugal up against North Korea at 9:30 in the morning. Chile versus Switzerland. At 2 tomorrow afternoon Eastern Time, Fernando Torres and Spain up against Honduras. The 2010 FIFA World Cup on ESPN tomorrow, also available on TV, online, and on your phone. The possible tying runs are on base for the Dodgers in the 7th inning. There's Garrett Anderson at third, and the pinch runner Chin Lung Hu at first. He is the possible tying run, and Daniel Bard on in relief of Clay Buchholz, another young Boston arm, and what a great arm, and he is tough to hit. 35 1/3 innings, only 20 hits allowed. First ball swinging. Carroll hits into a force play. Scutero to Pedroia for the force out on the hustling Who. One pitch, and the threat is over. 2 more is stranded for the Dodgers. 2-0 Red Sox. Manny has hit a home run. He's had 4 hits total. He's even stolen a base in his return to Fenway Park. But Manny has not been able to help the Dodgers engineer a win against the Red Sox, who are looking for a sweep of the series, and they lead here in Game 3, 2-0. Changes on the infield for the Dodgers as Hiroki Kuroda has pitched a beautiful game and deserves a lot better fate than being behind in this game 2-0. But he has a new shortstop. Chin-Lung Hu stays in to play short, and Jamie Carroll moves from short over to second base. So here we go. Mike Cameron, one hop to Casey Blake, and Cameron is 0 for 3.
Well, Hiroki Kuroda has been outstanding tonight. I know he's down 2-0. He's gone 6 innings, now 6 1/3. But one of the great Dodgers, Sandy Koufax, says you live away and you pitch in, and he has lived away with that two-seamer that looks like a ball and comes back and catches the corner, and then that sets up this pitch, that slider away that looks like the fastball that could come back, but it stays out there and actually breaks away from the barrel of the bat. You end up with swings and misses or easy outs.
Darnell McDonald, and that's a called strike. McDonald has struck out into a double play and grounded into a force play. The Dodger bullpen is busy for the first time. George Sherrill, the bearded one, number 52, the left-hander, and Justin Miller, the right-hander, up for L.A. And that is a swing and a miss on a ball that almost hit him. 0-2 the count. Kuroda has 8 strikeouts and has issued 1 walk that ended up being an intentional walk of David Ortiz in the first inning. He's also hit a batter. The slider. There it is again. Strikeout number 9 for Kuroda. Kuroda now 6 2/3 innings. It's on 112 pitches to get there. Clay Buchholz went 6 2/3 before he handed the ball to Terry Francona. No runs, 3 hits allowed by Buchholz. And I think we saw tonight why he's been one of the winningest pitchers in baseball so far this year.
If he gets the win tonight, that'll be 10. David Price has 10. Phil Hughes has 10, and he would join the American League leaders in W's. And there's a story out on the mound with Hiroki Kuroda, too. You know, he needs to carry the mail for the Dodgers. He and Clayton Kershaw. Chad Billingsley went on the DL. Their rotation is kind of patchwork, but they still are in huge contention out there in the National League West.
That is a called strike at 93 miles an hour. The Padres won today. They are still atop the National League West. They beat Baltimore. And at the moment, the Dodgers are a game and a half behind them, and so are the Giants. The Giants won in Toronto today. Andre Ethier and Scutaro hit it well, but into Ethier's glove. Scutaro 1 for 4. Pedroia stranded on deck. 8th inning, top of the order. Kemp, Ethier, and Manny coming up.
Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by State Farm. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. And your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store. Ask Sherwin-Williams how you can make the most of your color with the very best paint.
And there's some scenes from Father's Day at Dodger Stadium earlier today, which has become an annual event as Daniel Bard throws a called strike to leadoff man Matt Kemp. Starting the 8th inning. Fathers and their children are invited to come and play catch on the field at Dodger Stadium on Father's Day. And it looked like there were a lot of people availed themselves of the chance to do it. And that slider from Bard a little bit high, apparently. And here on Father's Day at Fenway, this couple honeymooned at Fenway. Attended a Father's Day game in June of '72, and they're back again for a Father's Day game 38 years later. So, happy anniversary. Happy Father's Day.
Well, I have to say happy Father's Day to my dad. It's absolutely amazing to have him and how much he's loved me. So I know he's home there in Vero Beach watching the game. He's become a big Sunday night baseball fan. Not that he wasn't before, guys. I didn't join the team. He watched all the time. Stayed up late for a lot of Dodger games. And absolutely amazing that he retired. He and my mom retired to Vero Beach, Florida the year before I became a Dodger. So every spring training, it was like a homecoming.
So it was almost preordained that you would have ended up a Dodger.
1978, they traveled the East Coast of Florida and picked Vero Beach to retire to. In 1979, I was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Wow.
And every year that I was there with the Dodgers until 1994, I would come home to Vero Beach, to my parents' house, and I could spend the time there at their house or in the apartment that I rented for spring training. It was awesome.
Well, happy Father's Day to Papa Hershiser.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
And that slider is low from Daniel Bard, who throws that slider. You see there, 85 miles an hour, but a little bit earlier he threw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Happy Father's Day to my dad, Jerry, in Redding, California.
No, happy Father's Day to my father, who is no longer with us, but happy Father's Day anyway, that he's remembered on this day.
Sure. And Joe, happy Father's Day to you, and to you, Oral. This is the 21st consecutive Father's Day that Joe and I have celebrated with each other. And we're still very disappointed about it.
Both of my sons called me today, and I had an over-under on they had to have been reminded, and both swore that nobody reminded them to call. So it's a pretty amazing day. At 21 and 26 years old, sometimes they forget.
3-2 the count to Kemp. And he swung at ball 4. Not that he had a whole lot of time to decide at 98 miles an hour.
Well, this is one young man that can relate to Steven Strasburg of the Washington Nationals, who set the all-time strikeout record in first 3 starts in the big leagues with 22, I think he had. But Mr. Bard throws about like Mr. Strasburg. Has hit 101, 32 strikeouts for Mr. Strasburg. Excuse me.
Yeah, J.R. Richards had 29.
Yeah.
One out. Here's Andre Ethier with Manny Ramirez on deck. If Andre can get himself on base, then Manny would come up as the possible tying run. 2-0. The Red Sox leading the Dodgers. And Hiroki Kuroda had an outstanding night. He's allowed 2 runs, one on an infield single that hit third base, and one on a high fly ball to right. That's a pop-up into left. And there is Nava. And Ethier continues to struggle since his return from the disabled list. 0 for 3 with a walk. Manny Ramirez, introduced on Friday. Manny hit a home run here yesterday. As has been the case all through this night, whenever he's been introduced, there's been a lot of booing. There have been some applause, but a lot of booing for Manny at Fenway, who has singled, walked, and grounded a short in this game. 99 miles an hour. You think a young pitcher gets a little extra amped when a guy like Manny's coming up?
I think you do. I think there's certain times in the game when the adrenaline will flow, certain hitters that you definitely know you need a little extra. Just can you keep your command when you go for it? Always like those big moments when you get the adrenaline, but the key was always to try and keep that extra energy in a place where you could use it. It's not good because if the hitter's using the same adrenaline, he catches up with that overthrow fastball.
The left-hander Okajima up in the bullpen. The Dodgers have James Loney, a lefty, and Garrett Anderson, a lefty. The two hitters due up after Manny, should somebody get on. He had a big rip at that 97-mile-an-hour fastball, fouling it back, and now it's a ball and 2 strikes. The Red Sox started with Clay Buchholz, the 25-year-old starting pitcher. He was excellent, 6 2/3 shutout innings. And then to the 24-year-old Daniel Bard, who throws even harder than Buchholz. He's a real power pitcher. He has retired 3 in a row since taking over for Buchholz.
He struck Manny out with a slider.
And that's a base hit to right center field, just in front of the onrushing Darnell McDonald.
That's one of those situations where he probably thought Manny was looking slider because he took a 3rd call strike in the last time he pitched to him, but he tried to throw him a fastball, and Manny's such a good hitter that he was able to get enough of it and go to right center field. Target's inside. I know the pitch is not going to be in there, but the pitch was right on the edge, but not off the plate inside. And that's just a nice compact swing there with his head still. Watch his head. It stays right there and then goes to the ball.
And the Dodgers are 2 runs down, so they need base runners. And Manny got himself aboard, and here is Loney, although Loney is not a power hitter. Hitting cleanup, but only 5 home runs. Toward the wall in left center. Nava makes the catch right in front of the out-of-town scoreboard. Pedoria coming up. Then Big Papi and Kevin Youkilis. The Red Sox are leading 2-0. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are recognizing individuals who make a difference in their community. Go to peopleallstars.com and vote for your favorite everyday all-star who could represent your club and be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim on July 13th. George Sherrill, big left-hander, in relief of Hiroki Kuroda. And the fastball is too high to Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia had been a key man for the Red Sox, as he so often is. He beat out an infield hit in the first inning, stole second, and then basically stole third, although they scored it as an error. There were nobody at third with Ortiz at the plate. Papelbon getting ready to close this one in the ninth inning now in the Boston bullpen. But Pedroia ended up scoring on an infield hit in that first inning, as that curveball is too high. Then in the third, he set up their second run with Scutaro at first. He singled him to third from where he scored on the subsequent fly ball by Ortiz. The only runs for Boston against Kuroda. That one's into the gap and into the triangle. He's going to go for three, and he'll make it without a throw.
Well, one of the reasons the Red Sox have played so well lately is David Ortiz and Pedroia and Beltre. They've all gotten hot together. And we talked about the fact that they led the league in runs scored at the beginning of today.
First triple of the year for Pedroia. Hit the ball out there into the triangle toward that 420 marker. It's hard for it not to be a triple.
The Dodgers are going to play the infield in on the left and halfway back on the right, because if Ortiz hits it sharply enough, they would still be able to come to the plate from halfway on the right side.
And the curve for a strike. Ortiz, the only other time he had a chance to swing the bat with a runner at third was in the third inning when he hit a fly ball to right to knock in Scutaro. The second run of the night for Boston. They have not scored since. Sherrill would ideally like to get a strikeout right here.
Well, he's extra tough against left-handers. Left-handers only hitting 167 off of him. They only hit 128 last year. But righties hit 410 coming into today's game, so that's Pedroia's triple.
Holding at second is Pedroia. That was a tough, I beg your pardon, at third as the ball is hit to second. And Jamie Carroll had a tough play going to his right. And I don't know that he could have thrown out Pedroia at the plate.
Well, they were not going on contact, and they do not want to get thrown out with that being the first out of the inning, getting thrown out at home. And the ball is hit back toward the middle where the pitcher is located, so he may have been able to make a play. But you definitely do not want to get thrown out at the plate with no one out, and you have Kevin Youkilis coming up next.
And he's going to go for the right-hander to face Youkilis with Pedroia still at third. Justin Miller in from the bullpen. American, the AL-NL Showdown presented by State Farm. The Dodgers have been the worst in interleague play going back to 2005. They've lost almost 2 out of every 3. The Red Sox have been the best in that time. They've won 7 out of every 10. And they are leading in this game with a runner at third and the infield in for the Dodgers. And the new pitcher, Justin Miller, to face Kevin Youkilis. Miller, a sinker baller with a big curveball. And he spins a slider over the inside corner for a called strike.
He calls both of his breaking ball sliders, but I believe you, John, that one looks like a curveball, one looks like a slider, and he's got that sinker, but he's started to throw a few more four-seamers this year also.
He's got that little slider, and he has that 5-foot break on a slider.
Yep.
There's that slider again, and quickly he's ahead of Youkilis, 0-2. Miller was with the Dodgers' arch rivals, the Giants, last year, and it was an important man in their bullpen last year that helped them contend against the Dodgers in the West. And that slider low and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now a Dodger, and Justin Miller trying to keep this a 2-run game. As strong as the Red Sox pitching has been tonight at a 2-run deficit, the Dodgers are just 1 base runner away from being able to have somebody plant one over that wall in left field and tie the game. There's Pedoria at third. The slider is a check swing foul off to the right. Justin Miller is also a guy, he's not a power pitcher, but he's a guy who has had a lot of strikeouts over the years.
Well, his breaking ball has been his strikeout pitch, that's for sure. Reminds me a little bit of Larry Anderson, an old Phillies reliever, threw a lot of breaking balls, slider man almost.
And another slider, so he's just sticking with that 1 pitch here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. What a night for Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia looks like a quintessential National League kind of a player. In the dirt with that slider, and a nice save there by Russell Martin.
Well, Russell did a good job on that one. He didn't try and backhand it. He actually moved his feet, got out there and trying to block the ball, and he did that. Earlier in the game, a couple wild pitches attributed Kuroda, but Russell maybe could have given a little better effort with the feet.
Pedroia at third, 1 out. And he got the strikeout. 10th strikeout for Dodger pitching. 2 down now. MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. Get over 100 live out-of-market games per week in HD quality where available on your computer. Visit MLB.TV for details. So now Victor Martinez, switch hitter. But the infield is able to drop back and play in normal depth with 2 down. 2-0, Boston ahead. This is not the kind of Red Sox offense that led to many victories over the years here at Fenway. If you could come in here and hold the Red Sox to 2, you had an excellent chance of winning most of the time. And that was the plan this year, that they were going to have strong pitching. They're going to make their defense better to prevent runs. And maybe their offense wouldn't be as potent, but maybe it wouldn't need to be. As it's turned out, some of that defense has been hurt and unavailable. And the hitting, as it turns out, has been sensational.
Well, this is a rarity for them lately because they've been averaging over 6 runs a game from when they turned their season around earlier in the year. So their offense has been outstanding.
They're going to walk and are walking Martinez intentionally now after Miller fell behind him initially, with the right-handed hitting Beltre coming up next. Almost a wild pitch on that last wide one.
When the season started, I mean, the Red Sox, if you looked at their rotation, they had an excellent rotation. They had 6 starters, actually. And they thought that they could win with pitching and defense rather than having to score a lot of runs.
Joe Torre out to the mound now to talk to Justin Miller with the right-handed hitting Beltre coming up. Nobody's up in the LA bullpen, so he's got some instructions, I'm guessing, that he wants to pass along with. Does he want to tell him how he wants this guy pitched, or what to do if they throw to second? If Martinez staying, what all are they talking about here?
I think he's maybe going over the first and third situation with Pedoria down there, because he'll use all facets of the game to try and get this run in, even with 2 outs. And if Victor Martinez runs, he probably won't run all the way to second base. He'll probably pull up short and try and draw the throw and see if Pedoria sneaks down there.
So now Adrian Beltre, and he has been outstanding in the clutch for the Red Sox, hitting over 400 coming into the game with runners in scoring position for the year. The slider at the knees for a strike. Beltre has 48 runs batted in this year. 403 with runners in scoring position, #1 in the American League in that category. Tampa Bay lost in Florida today. David Price, a 10-game winner already, lost in a great matchup versus Josh Johnson, the ace of the Marlins. And that was a 4-1 final, Florida. And if the Red Sox win this ball game, they'll be in a virtual tie for second place in the East with Tampa Bay. Both would be a game back of the Yankees, who won today 4-0 over the Mets. Terry Francona's Red Sox with a 2-0 lead here. Runners at first and third, 2 down. Fastball just foul. Wow. He hit a shot, and it just would not stay fair. Tony Randazzo, the third base umpire, on top of the play to make the call.
Well, it's a fastball, and he gets out in front of it. We talked about the fact that Miller throws a lot of breaking balls, but that was a fastball. But I'd say he missed his one fastball that he might get here in this at-bat.
It was a great call by Randazzo right there. And that was close.
Shot right by him. He swiveled around and had the best look at it. 1-2 the count. There goes Martinez. That ball is fouled.
Well, that's the breaking ball that he's featured. And in a pretty good location there. Good job by Beltre just to get a piece of it.
It looked like the Dodgers are going to let Victor Martinez steal second without even attempting to throw him out. They're going to hold their position with this extra run. Joe Torre does not want that third run to score, and they will sacrifice another man in scoring position to hold their position and get an out here.
He runs, and there, sure enough, that pitch is taken. Nobody covering second. Martin does not make a throw.
Well, if I was trying to understand that. If you're going to do that, why hold him on at all? There's a breaking ball that Kazon says got the inside corner. Miller thought it did as well.
That is a steal for Martinez, the third steal of the night for the Red Sox. Now runners at second and third, 2 down. And he struck him out with the breaking ball. And so a leadoff triple for Pedroia, but they do not get him home. 9th inning, Papelbon will enter. He's going to ship up to Boston here when we come back. Chevrolet player of the game is Red Sox right-hander Clay Buchholz. 6 2/3 shutout innings. And Buchholz, who got out of a jam in the first inning, bases loaded, 1 out. As it turned out, that was the best scoring chance that the Dodgers would have against him. He got through it. And now Jonathan Papelbon is on to try and save it for Buchholz. If he can do it, it will be the 10th win of the year for Clay Buchholz. In the American League, David Price of Tampa Bay and Phil Hughes of the Yankees have each won 10. So Buchholz would become the 3rd to reach 10 in the American League, if Papelbon can hang on to it for him. Here is Garrett Anderson to lead off against the hard-throwing right-hander. Papelbon got the save here yesterday. Actually, not a save yesterday. He got the win yesterday. He came on for the 9th inning in a tie game, and then they scored in the last of the 9th on Pedroia's game-winning hit to make Papelbon the winning pitcher. So he pitched 1 scoreless inning through only 11 pitches in doing it. And he gives the look as he peers in for the side. Garrett Anderson has had 1 hit, a double in the 7th inning, the only extra base hit for the Dodgers in this game. They've only had 4 hits of any kind for the night. Daniel Bard in relief of Buchholz, 1 1/3 innings, 1 hit allowed, and now Papelbon to try and wrap it up and give the Red Sox the sweep. Nava in shallow left center. Sports Center right after the game. Stay tuned for that. Kevin Nagandi, Linda Cohn will give you the whole day in the world of sports. There's a lot going on in the world of sports right now. The Dodgers will fly back to Southern California after this game, and they are scheduled to land early in the morning before the big parade to celebrate the Lakers NBA championship, which they won on Thursday when they beat the Boston Celtics in Game 7.
And the fans here chanting, beat LA. It didn't work against the Lakers, but the Celtics played great basketball. It was a great NBA Finals. 7th game, very close, right down to the end of the end of the game. One call here or there made a difference, but yeah.
Casey Blake 0 for 3 in the game, and the hard slider low and outside from Papelbon. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Red Sox began the year poorly. They were 4-9 to begin the year, the first couple of weeks. Since then, coming into play tonight, 38-19. They've had the best record in the majors since that poor 2-week period.
Well, when we were here the second time with the Yankees, they didn't look good. Their pitchers were not pitching well. They weren't hitting. And I actually thought they were going to have more problems scoring runs than they were pitching. I thought the pitchers would come around, but the offense has come around as well. So that's why they've been able to close the gap on both the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays.
Tampa Bay, conversely, had a great start to their season. Our Peter Pasquarelli points out that here the Red Sox are rolling along over a 2-month period. They've got the best record in the majors, but the Celtics were in a great NBA postseason. The Bruins had a great run in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Even in baseball, Tampa Bay was doing so well. The Yankees got it going. New ballpark in Minneapolis. And then the Mets in the National League, they caught fire after starting slowly. Steven Strasburg came up. Now it's 3-2 to Blake. Jason Hayward getting headlines down in Atlanta. A lot of great young talent emerging. And all the while, the Red Sox quietly putting together this great run. But it's baseball time in Boston now. NBA finals are over. Stanley Cup resides in Chicago. And the Red Sox emerging after their very quiet, great run. And they're trying to finish up a sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers here tonight.
And they're leading
winner could be Clay Buchholz, not John Lackey, not Josh Beckett, not John Lester. But a 10-game winner, if they win this one, it'll be Clay Buchholz. A little changing of the guard maybe on the pitching staff.
Back to the screen, still 3-2. Not that Lester and Lackey haven't pitched well.
No.
Lester 8-2, Lackey 8-3. But Beckett on the disabled list. Jacoby Ellsbury, their leadoff man, on the disabled list. Mike Cameron, their new center fielder, been hurt most of the early part of the season. He's back now, but not going yet. David Ortiz had a terrible first month of the season in April. Patchwork lineups all around. And yet, whatever they do, they keep winning. Even with the patchwork lineups, leading the league in runs. 3-2. He struck him out.
As patient as the Dodgers were at the beginning of this ball game, the last 3 innings, they have not been patient. Swinging at pitches out of the strike zone, swinging at first pitches from relievers that they had not even seen a pitch from. So they did change as the game progressed.
Joe Torre, hard times for the Dodgers. They have their own injury problems, especially afflicting their starting rotation. It's a jumble right now. Torre's not sure who's going to start Wednesday and Thursday. Either Wednesday or Thursday, he'd like to bring somebody in, and not sure who it's going to be.
Well, he'd like to bring Koufax in, but they're not going to. That's not going to happen. So I'm sure you would love that.
The Dodgers go back to Southern California, and they will be taking on the Angels, and the Angels have really played them tough so far. The Angels are a very hot ball club right now. Russell Martin 0 for 3. And this could do it. Scutaro. It's a sweep. The Red Sox sweep the Dodgers, who've got the Angels up next for 3. And then next Sunday night, we'll check in with the Dodgers again as they take on the Yankees, after which they go to San Francisco. Their toughest part of the schedule might be right now, and it starts poorly for them. They are swept at Fenway despite a great night from Hiroki Kuroda, the losing pitcher, who deserved much better tonight.
Well, he pitched great. I mean, you mentioned they didn't get the ball out of the infield until they had a sacrifice fly to drive in the second run, but he pitched well. He just had a lot of bad luck. But I'm not so sure the Dodgers were ever going to score the way the Boston starters and the bullpen were pitching.
They go 0 for 6 tonight with runners in scoring position, 4 for 26 in the 3-game series. Manny hits a home run on Saturday, but his Dodgers do not win a single game against his old team. 2-0 the final. SportsCenter's coming up next. We'll see you next Sunday from L.A. for the Dodgers and the Yankees at 8 Eastern. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now, for Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser.